Right, I think we're streaming and I think we're live now. Let me just check everything, but I believe we are. Alright, chaps, yep, it looks like we're live. It says we are. No, it doesn't say we're live yet. It says we're live here.
Yeah,
It
so
says
we
we're
are
live.
live.
We are
We just
live.
saw it,
Fantastic.
chaps.
Yep, it looks like
Hey.
we're live. It says we. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so we're all good. I'll just mute that so I can't hear myself, because man, is that off-putting. Okay, so welcome back to Baking Bread. It's Tuesday night. We're going to have a bit of a talk about a couple of little bits and bobs. We've got Stasi, Ez, and Craig here with us tonight. And yes, shall we crack right into it at Mythcon?
Shall do.
Mythcon, Sargon talking to Richard Carrier.
Oh boy.
Let's see if he carries this debate.
So, for those who don't know, how about we just do a quick background on what was his name again? Richard
Carrier or Sargon?
He's a pigeon.
I don't know much about either, to be honest. They're both tiny little YouTubers.
Yeah, Sargon seems to be a new lad on the scene.
Little consequences.
I'm not seeing much from this kid, but he has potential.
Yeah. Fine beard.
Almighty fine beard.
biased much?
Look, mine's more streamlined than his.
More aerodynamic.
Indeed.
List
So
of
it's on
potential
baking
advantages to your
Great
beard.
beards of all time. That might be a stream.
Whose beard is more likely to be on the next SpaceX flight?
Oof. I have no idea.
Oof.
Right.
Anyway, to the video, to the
Yes.
topic at hand.
Richard Carrier is a social justice blogger, I think is the best way of putting it.
Advocate.
An
Activist.
advocate, activist, sort of. Certainly, having watched the stream, not exactly what we've come to know as the classic social justice warrior activist. Certainly a lot more moderate and yeah. Anyway, I'm putting my own opinions on having already watched this, and I believe yes.
All right. He is self-described as a social justice advocate, activist, and a sort of spokesperson for the social justice community. That's how he describes himself.
So he's got quite a big following then, if he's a spokesperson.
Can you name anyone who in the social justice
no.
community who is
I
popular?
doubt. No.
Anita Sarkeesian?
Oh God, no, he's not. No,
He's
not quite on that.
He's not nowhere near that level. I think Richard Carrier.
Oh.
Let's just have a quick look if I can find his YouTube channel.
Are we gonna do prices right on how many subs he's got?
I can tell you. I think I know how many he has. It is.
I think
I
it's
reckon-
5,000.
I was gonna say the same. You
Yeah.
know what? I'm gonna say 6,000.
I was expecting it to be at least an order of magnitude up from that.
No, he's not.
See, the thing is,
can't even
from what
find
I'm
his
apparently
channel.
hearing, he seems to be a spokesperson, but not one at all because he's not got a big following. That's from what I've deciphered from pre-stream
I think.
info.
I think if we were talking about YouTubers and in terms of their following on YouTube, yes, he is significantly smaller than a lot of other activists that we have seen people argue against and so on. He certainly seems to be quite the intellectual. I believe he's got some qualifications behind him, and from my first sort of impressions of him during this. I hesitate to call it a debate. It's a discussion. It's not really formatted for a debate. What they do, but it's yeah, it's a discussion. But he does it very well. I personally thought he came across very well and almost more reasonable of the two people taking part in it, which is a bit of a shame. But once again, Sargon, not always the best in debate, I think. But again, I'm giving my personal sort of opinions of it from the beginning, and I think we should should really just sort of jump into it a bit, unless any of you guys have got any sort of thing to add to that, and let's just jump into it. Have a few look through some choice moments, and see how we feel about
Before
those.
we start, I
Sure.
have Stasi did post his channel link. 113 subscribers.
Yeah,
Wow.
I thought it was a lot higher.
I
but-
thought it was in the thousands. 113, and he's on the stage with Sargon. His last video was 3 years ago.
Mhm.
What?
Well,
he-
maybe he's not a YouTuber like.
I guess he's not.
maybe he's
No.
more,
Has he got a Twitter?
I think so.
He has a blog. Let me
Oh,
find
so
that.
he's mainly a blogger then.
Yes, he is.
Ah.
Although he says he doesn't keep up with many channels. He doesn't keep up with the modern social justice community. However, looking at his history, he has liked Sean and Jen's video recently about Doom, the fake outrage, which shows he is
Still up to date.
Well,
practically an active participant by liking the video.
Yeah, in some form.
So yeah,
Though it does kind of sound like he might be a bit closeted on the grand stage.
yeah. No, it's only one video a month ago. The last time he did something like that was a year ago when he liked Sean's video. So yeah, maybe he hasn't entirely caught up. But
yeah. Oh, you know what? I can see after this he's going to go. Let's have a look, because they seem to be very concerned about this thing. I haven't really seen. Oh my God! You know, he'll be out there in a year later. I was wrong. We need to fight these fuckers now.
Well, do you think he'll just dismiss out of hand? Like you can't know what it's like because you're not there on the front line or something.
Let's watch through the video, because I think there are some bits where we run into a couple of there are in more than one case, to say the least, almost every case, there is a no true Scotsman fallacy being thrown around that these aren't real social justice warriors, etc. I think if we
stop the video,
if we tried to count them, there would be an awful lot. So, shall we
Just crack on.
crack on a little? Let's transition this in over with the old OBS, and oh, look at that. Skills. Well, look at that. That whole fade we did there.
Oh, that is a sexual
screen
fade.
fade.
That's production value.
Yeah, absolutely. That took a whole.
Absolute production value. Well
God
done.
damn. I think this might be too high budget for us.
Yeah, I think-
we can afford this.
Yeah, I think the entire budget went into that screen fade.
It did. Good God.
I wonder what else he's got up for plans.
Up for plans. Oh no, well, that's
Background music. Oof.
Oof.
background music. Yo, oof. I can't afford license fees.
I think we might have to stick with some a cappella stuff, but we've run out of license for actual music, guys.
Yeah, PRS is fine.
Alright, so,
Anyway, Maestro, if you please,
Anyway.
start the video.
Alright,
Carry
let's,
on.
let's kick off. Where are
Sally
we?
on fourth. Where are we indeed?
Oh, this is not as nice as YouTube. Where are we? Okay, this is too far.
Yeah, no, it's not very.
It's
not very nice.
it's not nice at all for moving this around.
This is a glorious
Yeah,
start.
you've got to hold down. You've got to click and then
Hold.
look at the time code at the bottom. Yeah, it's annoying.
I'm so you know what, Stassi, you went through and time coded this up, so it's okay, and it's going to be horrifying to do this.
Do you want me
okay?
to do it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it? I can do it.
Wherever we are now.
Right, there we go. Do you want me to play that?
You feel like you're in the midst
Oh,
of
we
a
have no choice,
revolution.
apparently.
There we go.
No. But I do, no, let me acknowledge that, though. I think there is a lot of SJW extremism that is a problem. I think everything you list is real. Those are issues. And we should criticize those things. But that doesn't, it's a fallacy of affirming the consequent to say that there are bad social justice warriors, there's extremists on this issue, or extremism on this issue, therefore all social justice is bad, therefore there's no better, more evidence-based, rational way to do it. I think that's a fallacy.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So, go on. Yeah.
Yeah. He makes the conclusion that the no true Scotsman to say that, the extreme, social justice warriors and the like, the social justice activists that shut people down
Mhm.
are an extreme and not the majority of people.
Mm-hmm.
Could he be
And
right?
Or could he be wrong?
he could be right if not for the masses of evidence proving him wrong.
Mm.
The overarching,
I'm gonna.
like Sargon says, every community has a backlash towards these people.
Mm.
Mm.
Wherever they roam, there's
Yeah.
there's someone out to get them or biting back against them because they are wrecking shit.
Yeah, it's not nice. They're not nice
God.
people.
No, they're scum.
There
They're-
certainly is a certain power to the term SJW, and it's not positive.
No, not at all.
No, and I think Richard goes on throughout this whole debate using that particular fallacy where he will when whatever is brought up, Sargon goes, "Are we in the middle of a revolution?" There's a lot of us that would kind of agree, if not a hot war revolution, it's certainly a Cold War revolution. And we're having quite a lot of interesting tactics being thrown around, like Alex Jones being thrown down the memory hole, etc. That is not the behaviour of a world at peace. Exactly, it's
No.
there's definitely some conflict going off there. So this no true social justice warrior fallacy, we will see a lot. I'm going to try and count as many as I can.
Does he
in the
consider
post
himself
videos.
a true SJW?
I
Well,
imagine he does.
this is
No, he generally, I mean, we'll see later on, but he generally sees himself as a social justice activist and advocate. He does not see himself as a typical SJW. And in
Right.
fact,
Okay.
he has said he is very anti the extreme parts, the SJW side.
I mean,
So,
I doubt someone would say they're
Yeah.
supportive of the mental side in a debate like this.
Well, you had last year. Was it last year, the Mythicist Milwaukee?
There was
What
something
was
last year,
Tom-
yeah. Was that the one where he stormed off the stage?
Yeah,
Yes.
that guy. I've forgotten his name. Oh, it was
Oh,
funny as fuck.
It was a funny
I
debate.
don't remember that.
He looked like he was going to cry at one point.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. It's so fucking good.
You bastards.
This one is a lot different. This one actually is a lot more engaging in the actual debate, and a lot less entertaining.
Now I'm sitting here eager to hear what Richard's definition of social justice actually is.
Let's run on because I think he's about to start
Yeah.
getting into it. But to be honest, this whole debate, 2 hours of debate, and we're not going to go through all of it. We're going to jump around a little bit because otherwise we'll be talking about it for 4 hours. But this whole debate is basically them both trying to define social justice warriors in slightly different manners. Well, vastly different manners, to be honest. So yeah, let's carry on a little.
It's not that they're all bad. There are obviously some that are not bad. You are a tiny, unrepresentative minority of your community.
Yeah, well,
You
here's
do
the
not
problem.
represent
That's not
social
true.
justice warriors.
No, that's actually not true.
No, that's completely true, right? We know
No,
we've
I-
all had...
I can
hang on,
answer
let me
that.
finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
right?
Yeah.
We've all had experience with this. We know what these communities are like. They are vindictive. They are malicious. They go after you for things. I mean, look at Christy Winters, what her post was. It was me, the quartering, and then you. Who got the worst rap on that? You did. I don't think you're a sexual abuser, but they do.
Yeah,
How
right.
can you defend this?
Yeah, well, you're just repeating
No, I'm
the
asking
same...
you a question. How do you defend that? You
By
are,
pointing out-
by their standards,
I'm not
you
defending
are a bad person.
I just said I'm not defending that. That extremism exists, but you only focus on that. And that's a
That's
real
because that's
problem.
what's
We are
hurting
dealing
people.
No, you're talking mainly about a small segment of very loud internet amateur activists, rather than looking at like people who run the Global Fund for Women or people who run Open Policing Project, like serious professional.
I'm just going to jump ahead in a second because something that Sargon's starting to... Yeah, go on.
I just heard him say that other social justice activists are accusing Richard of being a sexual predator.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was a post by Christy Winters on her Twitter, where let me find out the post actually. Maybe let me directly quote it if I can find that tweet.
Not trying to derail things here, but bloody hell.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, they've been aggressive. It's not uncommon though, is it? We've come to
I'll
expect
put
this
it-
sort of thing.
Is that in
It's
response to him agreeing to be on the stage with Sargon?
On the stage with Sargon, yeah, they
Oh my god!
It literally says Mythcon 2018. Be careful, ladies. Credibly accused sex pest, referring
What?
to Richard Carrier. Lifetime Magic the Gathering ban for harassment on the quartering, and serial harasser of women online, Sargon of Akkad.
Right.
All appearing at Mythcon 5.
Credibly accused sex pest.
Yeah, but so was Kavanaugh. Credibly
I would-
accused
I've been
means
hearing a
someone
lot
said it
of
once.
that lately.
Oh,
Everything is suddenly credible because
Someone said it.
Someone explained this to me. It's credible because they don't look like they come from trailer trash.
it's
Just blew my mind. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's completely slanderous in every form that she could possibly think of.
yeah.
She really stretched the boat with serial harasser of women online and credibly accused sex pest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit much,
Hashtag
isn't it?
wouldn't even.
Yeah. Well, quite. That's how Sargon abuses people, though. You know.
Mm.
Right,
Let's just jump.
and then
Let's carry
yeah,
on.
do you want to jump on to the next time?
I was going to just jump forward because but this will have to do because screw this fucking system. But they're about to jump into a few things, and I don't think Sargon's behaving himself very well here. I'm going to have to sort of say that Sargon's throughout this video, I would say a little too aggressive, and as a result, it doesn't play out very well for him optically. I think Richard's good at playing that situation better than Sargon, and we'll see a moment
The
of it here.
victim, you mean?
Yeah, not necessarily. Just watch.
People
College
were
protests.
legislated. My parliament is full of feminists. One of them, an MP called Stella Creasy, said, feminism is not about women, it's about power. And she is right. Every word of that is accurate.
Well,
it's all about power.
I can't speak to Parliament because I don't know
No,
the
you can
politics.
speak to
I don't know the
feminism.
politics in your country in that regard. But we don't really have that going on in our Congress. Can you think of an example in our Congress of that, someone saying something like that and doing something like that?
Are you insane? Like, do you even pay attention to the Democratic Party?
Well, give me an example.
Yeah, okay. I was watching the DNC, and the various candidates to be the next party or DNC president or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And this white woman literally got up and said, "It's my job to shut white people down."
Yeah,
Defend that.
okay.
Defend it. Defend
That's
it.
I'm not gonna
spicy.
defend it. I've never heard that.
Exactly, and that is all of social justice in a nutshell. White
I
people are the
disagree.
problem,
That's
and they
bad
have to be
social
stopped.
justice.
No, that's social justice, full stop, right? And
Okay.
this comes from a distinctly
what if-
Marxian
what if
worldview.
we
No,
called
no,
it
no,
something
no, 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 no,
else?
no.
I
We're
mean-
not calling it anything else because this is what we're dealing with, right?
Let's talk.
So yeah, the problem here is Sargon's very aggressive,
Yeah.
and Carrier is very quick and very eager to let's call it something else.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
label
quick
it.
to-
Hashtag
It's
no,
not.
no true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's nothing to do with me. Is what he's trying to do here. You know, it's not the social justice I represent, but it's social justice as it is,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not.
Can you give me an
Oh, yeah,
example of that? Here's an example of that. Oh, he's slipping the
Yeah.
punches because Sargon's throwing in big, heavy, slow
Yeah.
punches. And it's argumentatively speaking, it's a David and Goliath bout where someone's big and angry and being loud about it, and the other guy's looking calm, collected, and slipping the punch, and somehow he's making himself to the unobserved, the casual observer, look like he's the more reasonable person when he's just not addressing the question at all and just
Yes.
slipping the punch every single time. He does this a lot. He's a slippy little bugger. I've got to take my hat off to him though. He's good in debate. He's going to do to Sargon what often seems to happen with Sargon, which is he doesn't do as well as he could do, and he really should do better. But anyway,
Sargon gets ooga booga loud.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah, it's
If I shout louder, my point is better.
shout louder and point my pen at him a bit, and we'll
See
carry
this
on.
fucking pen?
Well, it's
Defend
very
that.
interesting you say
Defend
that. If you look at where it's paused right now and just compare their entire body language,
Hmm.
on the left you've got basically the personification of emasculation, you could say, and on the right, well, you've got this big, thick-shouldered guy
This is
pointing his pen, as you say.
yeah,
I don't know.
pointing his magic pen
Yeah.
in his direction.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, Richard's not a big built bloke. I think the personification of emasculation is a little harsh, perhaps.
I
but
take that back.
He's not a
but
total cuck.
comparatively speaking,
He's an intellectual, sure. But he seems to. I'm willing to give him credit where it's due in this. He's but Sargon gets a bit shouty. We'll let him carry on because he carries on getting a bit shouty, and it's worth watching.
Talk about a real problem, like abortion.
That is a
access.
real problem.
No. Yes, I agree.
That's why we're all here.
That's not what I meant. That's not
No,
what I
but that's
meant.
what I mean.
What I'm talking about are the actual problems in society that we should be working to solve.
We can't get there. You people are insufferable and we can't stand you.
Obviously not me. I am clearly a disproof of your point.
You're
Sargon. Buddy.
Talking about opening fire.
The other thing is Sargon is so willing to just uppercut this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but he's not actually addressing Carrier
Yeah.
and
he's-
addressing the fact that Carrier has avoided the example and avoided the question that was posed to him in the first place.
He just wants to get the soundbite and the pop from the crowd.
He's come for
Yeah.
a fight, and he's not getting the fight he wants.
Yeah.
He's getting
So-
frustrated. So,
And Carrier's getting away with it very easily. So
I wouldn't say very easily, because even though Sargon's getting angry and has kind of slipped off to a different tangent, he's not wrong in anything he said in the last
No.
2 minutes there.
No, absolutely not. But optically,
Yeah.
to the casual observer, it looks like angry man shouting at perfectly reasonable bloke. And it's so we'll carry on a bit, but
he's Carrier is very quick to rationalize what he's doing as well.
yeah,
He's
but
like, well, let's look at a real problem. Yeah, that's not what I mean, but let's move on to something else.
I'm not sure he's totally honest. I think Carrier is actually
No.
just a lot better at debating than Sargon, and
Just a
Yes.
quick one. What was the quote-unquote topic of the debate?
the topic of the debate is oh god,
It's literally below the thing. Where does social
Yes.
justice, the secular community, and identity politics meet?
And we're 60 minutes
the
in,
pub.
and they're totally off topic.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking, isn't it?
It's almost as if one came here looking for a fight, and the other came here for apologetics.
Bants.
Yep, and we're going to see some cracking apologetics in just a moment. I've got it time stamped to 1740. So
Foreshadowing.
we're just gonna play on a little because I'm not trying to jump ahead a minute on this thing. It'll
defending them.
longer than
I'm
Why are
we
you
not
do.
defending them. I've actually said to you multiple
Okay,
times
well
on
then-
stage that I don't defend the extremists that you're
Yeah, but
talking
you
about.
can't sit
I am
there
I am an actual example, a counterexample
Yes,
to your
but
generalization.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm a counterexample to your generalization. And if we look at a real issue, for example, abortion access in America, women getting access to abortion.
I'm
There
not
are
discussing
lots of
abortion.
people,
I'm not
thousands of
doing it.
people, millions of people who are actually working on that social justice issue to solve it. And they aren't bothering, harassing people on the internet. They aren't bothering saying stupid shit like that.
You don't know.
They're actually doing things and actually accomplishing them. And even if you think all of them are doing these horrible things, even though they're trying to get improved access to abortion rights, you should be advocating a more rational way to accomplish the goal of increasing access to abortion, right? Aren't you in favor of that?
That would
Don't you-
assume that they would listen.
Well, don't worry about them. I'm just talking about solving the problem. Forget the social justice warriors
Forget
or whoever the
people who are
bugbears are you're
currently
talking
in the-
about. I mean, the problem. Let's just look at the problem. Abortion access. How do we solve it?
No, I don't care about abortion access in your country.
So you don't?
No, not at all. I
You
care
don't-
about
you
the
don't-
intersection of atheism and social justice.
So you
like the
don't
topic
care-
we're here to discuss.
Okay,
The
this
topic
gets back
we are
to the
here
point.
to
This is trying to drag it down.
We are going to discuss.
is.
No, we are going to discuss what atheism and social justice, how they have collided, and what atheism has done. I mean, take for example the 2012 Reason Rally. 30,000 people in Washington D.C. How did it look in 2016?
Oh, I didn't go. I don't know.
Yeah, and right, no one else did either. There were like 3,000 people. This is what social justice does to every single community.
Yeah,
There is a phrase called get woke, go broke,
think
and
you
it
gotta-
exists for a good reason.
I don't think you have causality there, but okay.
Oh, we absolutely do, right? And it's because social justice warriors, the way they rule a space, the legislation, the rules they put in place, the way people have to interact is insufferable. And the way that they talk to people,
There's no
when people
evidence
object
that
to
social
this,
justice activism reduced the population of the audience of.
Okay, let's just hold on a second there, because Richard Carrier slips
Okay.
in a tiny little argument that correlation is not causation.
Mm-hmm.
And it slipped by, and Sargon didn't notice it. And
No, he did. He actually addressed it. He said we do have causation.
yeah, I was going to say, because there is a colossal. Because he's right. Correlation is not causation. Correlation could be a side effect of the other cause that happens to happen at the same time. But yeah, we've got significant amount of causation. Does he mention that in a moment? So I might have jumped ahead.
The reason rally that was the cause of
That's,
that.
are you
That's
kidding
just
me?
a leap
That
of
happens
assumption.
in every community.
Oh, yeah,
There is a
But you don't have any
dissident
evidence
group.
of that causation. You're just assuming that's the cause.
I've
This is
been
what I don't
there.
like about your work. Is
I
that
was in this. Oh,
that doesn't.
my lived
that's not
experience is
evidence.
suddenly not relevant.
No.
All of these people's lived
That
experience
is
is
not what I
suddenly not
said.
relevant.
This is what I don't like about you.
Oh,
is
I
that
don't care what you don't
you
like
were,
about
no,
me.
no.
I
You
can
were
get
straw manning.
stormed off the stage
Shouting
now.
No, look what you do. You keep
match.
straw manning. You keep
Shouting
ignoring the
match.
things
I'm
I'm
not-
saying and saying I'm not what I'm saying. I'm saying the opposite of what that is.
You are here to defend social justice.
No,
we know
you're
what social
sitting
justice
here.
does.
You're being dis-
Okay,
Yeah.
is he strawmanning? Is Sargon strawmanning Richard Carrier? Because I actually sneakingly suspect that he might be, but I don't think he's doing it unwittingly. What Sargon is saying is, here's the social justice warrior that I'm supposed to be arguing against, and oh, you fucked off over there, and you're standing at the side pointing at that and going, that straw man over there is a windmill, and it's not a monster at all. Hence the whole, I think, tilting at windmills is a phrase I'm going to use for this one. I think Richard Carrier is kind of setting Sargon up throughout this debate as an underlying tactic to allow Sargon to build a straw man, then him turn around and say, you're basically tilting at windmills, and look at the wider community. We're really nice and lovely. You know, don't look at the demonetisation behind the curtain. I know, just gone for two classics in a row there.
Sargon had an opportunity there to address the correlation causation. Instead, he did the whole little bit of a fan pleasing joke to the crowd.
Well, yeah.
No, I think he I think Trig's right, is that he thinks this is a typical social justice warrior, and so he thinks that he believes that lived experience counts.
Yeah, he's using.
Which Richard Carrier has built up because he's on the defensive side of social justice in this debate, and obviously, almost everyone's experience with social justice is the SJW type. It's not exactly to be unexpected, but Richard Carrier can now claim, because he has not made the claim that lived experience matters, that
The straw
Sargon
man
was
is being
attacking
built.
a straw man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's technically a trap because Richard Carrier accepted social justice, well knowing, because I do believe he is dishonest, that that he doesn't know what the majority of social justice and social justice warriors are like. He knew that what he would be defending. He doesn't like it now because obviously he got called by Christy Winters.
Yeah, called a fucking credibly
Credible
alleged.
sex.
Yeah, credibly fucking alleged sex pest.
So
Fucking Christ.
So now he has the defensive position of saying, "Oh well, I'm not for that," which is
He even
well,
walks.
why are you stood up here?
I was going to say, spoiler alert. He even walks back and I used to be like that, but I'm not anymore. Later on in the thing, so it's that there's definitely a
Well, I
little
mean-
bit of self-realizations happened here for him.
Well, not even a month ago. Yeah, he like I said on his channel, he liked Sean and Jen's video, so
Yeah.
it's a little unbelievable. But
So
hey,
you don't think he's like one of those people who just lives in a bubble and hasn't seen the wider world?
no, because he watches YouTube.
He watches YouTube, and to be honest, he's an academic. You can't be unaware if you're especially in academia. You can't be unaware of things like Evergreen and Brett Weinstein. These things in what was it, Mizzou? All of these universities are dying on their feet because of colossal fucking gaffes that have happened that have ended up as being gigantic scandals. And people getting paid off large amounts of money to go off and leave universities, and I mean, what happened to Brett Weinstein is horrendous. For example, you can't be in academia and know these things don't happen. I'm saying he's either knowingly dishonest or I don't know.
Yeah, specifically trying to trap Sargon.
So yeah, I
is
think
a possibility.
Now there's something on my notes that I've made a note down here that I kind of just something that I'm beginning to suspect as I was watching this, and I think we've known this for a time, is that something with regards social justice and intersectional whatever feminism blah blah blah, they are addressing a problem that they can see, and they are making the assumption that their solution is correct just because they happen to have noticed the problem. And there is no proof that they have any, there's no tests or reasons or ways to be sure that their solution is correct. They're right because they see the problem. And it's something I noticed. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. It's the assumption of being in the right just because you've noticed there's a problem.
Yes. Even if you haven't came up with the solution, any other solution to the problem you have addressed is bad because it's not through a social justice lens.
Bingo.
Yes, I think you're right.
And I think we're going to see a little more of that. I don't have another timestamp until 23 minutes in. So let's jump ahead to.
I've got one at
I have one at around 20
1910.
minutes.
About where? 1910.
Yeah,
Let's do
I'll
1910.
I'll just move that quick.
Sorry, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Sure. Let's forget social justice,
No,
the
yeah.
word. Let's not freak out over the word.
Okay. Oh yeah.
There are problems in society that I think we should care about.
Yes.
Like women's access to abortion, as an example.
He's been a dead horse.
That is something that's important. There is discriminatory policy going on in America,
Stop.
especially in many states where it's extremely difficult to have abortion. Other aspects, protests and various things. This is something that we should work against. The only question left is, what should we do to solve that problem? I don't care about the weird extremists that do whatever weird-ass shit they do. I'm concerned about the actual social justice problem of abortion access and what will actually solve that problem. And that's what I think we should be talking about. And yes, we can also criticize the extremists and what they're doing and why it's bad and so forth. That's also valid, but we can also care about the issues and do something about them. And I think that's real social justice activism.
Then why didn't you insist that the topic of this debate was abortion access for women?
Yeah.
Right. So here he is specifically saying that he is all for addressing issues such as abortion access,
Mm-hmm.
where he says there is an issue, we need to solve it. The question is, what is the solution?
Right.
But he hasn't really taken into account that it is may not even be a problem at all.
Yeah.
That it may be in a heavily, I don't know, Islamist area where abortion.
Oh dear. Someone
And
has
he's
aborted
dropped off.
Your
Oh, dear.
microphone.
Oh, he's back.
Is he
Oh,
back?
Stasi, you
am I
good?
back?
He's
Yeah,
back.
you're back. Shut
All
up.
right, my bad. But you may be in an area in which abortion, is highly voted against anyway.
Yes.
You may have like 95% of women in that area not want abortion access.
Yeah.
Well,
They may be highly Christian.
there's a hot take by Richard later on exactly that subject, actually.
Oh
So,
boy, this is gonna be good.
yeah.
Here's something. So,
Go on.
I want to know. Would you agree on this or disagree? it seems to me that he's implying that abortion is a social justice issue.
Yes.
Is it a social justice issue?
Well, this is the thing.
I don't see how it is.
I don't know. I don't know if it is or not.
I do have a note that he actually tries to define social justice somewhere in the next minute or so.
I mean, I don't want to dive too much into abortion.
No one does.
Woo,
It's
that's
a landmine of an issue.
the one thing that the two things I've noticed though is it's a service. It's a service provided by a healthcare unit. You have to have a doctor and surgery to do this. This is not something that kind of, happens easily. It requires a whole bunch of people to consent to do this. And B, the rights of the unborn child are something, and the advocacy for the rights of the unborn child is one hell of a big grey area, and there has to be a point that where you go. I mean, I know personally someone who is now in his early 20s who was very, very early born. Yeah, I think he was 28 weeks or something ridiculously like that. He was, literally lived for the first month or two in an incubator, not being able to go outside. This kid is a rugby player and lawyer now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, according to some people, that fetus, baby, whatever you want to call it, had no rights. But, you could have taken it out. You can take babies out of people's stomachs at that age and have them grow up to be lawyers. Big fucking 6'5" ones. So, I cringe on abortion. I really do. I can appreciate why there's some very sticky arguments about it, but there is a life going off in there, and it's viable at a very, very early age via medical science. If we're going to use medical science to abort, I would rather we use medical science to preserve. That's just me being weird about these things. So,
Anyway.
Didn't expect a rant on abortion then.
Yeah, I like how he said he doesn't want to get into the topic of it, and then he goes on a rant about it.
Asking the question from what review is, how is anything a social justice issue or not?
Social justice.
How do you determine an issue?
I think social justice is literally what is kind of like what we would define as like being on the social kind of side of.
Well, I've got my notes that he actually gives a definition for social justice within the next minute or so.
Okay.
Well, shall we?
We can jump to that.
Let's crack on in that case, yeah.
That's one example.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking.
We can stack
You're
example
doing
over
this to
example.
deflect because
Yes,
fine,
abortion
it's
access is a social justice issue by definition. That is what social justice is
I don't care
about.
what the social justice issue is. The question is, what happens when social justice and atheism intersect? And the answer
What
is
you mean
bad
is
things.
social justice extremism, not social justice. Because when I say social justice, I mean issues like abortion access. That is a social justice issue. You then go to the extremists, and you're talking about a different class of people.
Okay.
You're talking about a different issue than I am.
Okay.
That's why I think you're hung up on the word. If you don't want to call it social justice, that's fine. Let's call it just,
There
I
is
don't
no
know.
such thing as social justice. This is a phantom.
Let's
right?
just call
you
it
can't
elimination
even define
of-
social justice.
Well, I just did. It's
Go on,
the
define.
recognition of discrimination in society, like limiting women's access to abortion. That is a form of discrimination.
Do you not think that it involves some sort of rebalancing of society?
Okay.
What do you mean?
Well, I
You
mean
mean like
observing
rebalancing
a
as in
problem-
giving women the abortion rights?
So are we taking that as the definition of social justice then?
What, noticing
That weak little phrase that he said there that seems to encompass so much god awful behaviour from so many weird people.
noticing discrimination.
Recognition of discrimination in society, like limiting women's access to abortion, that is a form of discrimination.
What about
limiting criminals' access to firearms is also is for the same reason a social justice issue. Everything's a freaking social justice issue. He's basically
also
described politics.
Fair enough, yeah. But also by that definition, it's just recognition of, not taking action against.
1776 was a social justice issue.
Definitely was.
It bloody well was. It bloody well was.
It was.
You know
Right.
what? I read the Declaration of
was-
Independence. If I read that at the moment, I get teary. I'm like, fucking hell, lads, can I join you? I totally hold that article in high regard. It was written very well. Certainly the first few bits of it. When it gets into the nitty gritty, it gets a bit dull.
Yeah.
Is it this? You're gonna love
That's
this.
all
There's a bit coming up in about 2120 where well, I'll let him say it for himself. You'll love this, but you got to
2120.
listen.
All right.
All right. Shall we skip to that, or should we
Yeah,
just
sure.
let it play?
Go for it.
Sure, skip around. That way they won't.
Skippy-O.
They
What
won't.
about women who don't want that? What about women who find abortions to be morally reprehensible and want you to stop?
Yeah, we have to work against them to get abortion rights for women.
So we're not doing
Did you
this
hear
for women.
that?
We're doing
Yeah.
this for a certain set of political ideologies.
Wait a minute. Are you now advocating? Are you seriously advocating that you think
I'm not
we should
advocating shit.
support limiting access to
I'm
abortion?
not advocating shit. I'm pointing out you are not the
No,
representative
what
of
is
women.
your view on this, on abortion, then?
I'm not
lay it
just
out.
addressing my view on abortion. It really doesn't matter
No,
what it
because
is.
what you just said suggests that
Stop
you support...
changing the subject.
No,
Focus
I'm on
the topic
subject.
of this
The
debate.
subject is social justice. Abortion is a social
Focus
justice
on
issue.
the topic.
This is a relevant
We're not
topic.
talking about social
We are on
justice
topic.
issues. We're talking about what social justice does to communities.
You're talking about social justice
That's the
extremism.
topic of this debate.
No, see, you're talking about social justice
that just
extremism,
happens
and
to
we agree
manifest
on
in
that.
every community.
No.
Yes, it does.
It's not true.
Yes, it does. It's absolutely
There
true.
are thousands of abortion rights activists
Stop
that are
talking
not
about
doing
abortion.
the things you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. No true Scotsman policy
Oh,
there.
just-
Also, if there's someone who disagrees with you, you have to fight against them.
Yeah.
You heard that?
Yeah.
Have
Oh,
to.
yeah. He
tooth and nail.
goes on later because they keep on coming back to this one, and
Yeah. The abortion issue he keeps bringing up as if it's the pinnacle of social justice issues.
Yes.
yes,
Which,
he goes on to make quite a hot take. Where at what point? Where is it? It's quite late. It's a little bit later on this whole thing. Oh no, it's not that bit. Was it after that? Because he basically turns around to Sargon at one point with regards to this, and is just like, what? Who cares what they think unless you're siding with them? That's
What?
exactly. Yep. That's at 41
fuck?
minutes. At 41 minutes in, they go back to the same thing again, and we'll get there. And it's a big oof moment actually at that point.
Sounds like a big oof moment, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as in, like, I don't care what people think unless you brought them to the table, or as in, I just don't care what people think.
No, the implication is they're on the other side from me, so I don't care what they think. They're wrong, kind of. Who cares what they
Major
think?
oof.
I was like,
Big
"Whoa."
oofs. Big oofs are being had in this
Hold on a
debate.
second, yeah. So this is what brings me back to the, are they making the assumption that they're right, just by noticing that there's a problem? Yeah.
So, is this guy an atheist, just out of curiosity?
He is, I believe, an atheist. Yes, that's what's not
Because
nothing.
what I'm hearing here, obviously it's through proxy from what you said, but it sounds very much like divine right.
Oh God, I'm not touching that one with a barge pole. Divine right? No, I'm not touching that with a barge pole.
Isn't that like, I know it's right because it's right. It's
Yeah.
just ordained
Yeah,
with
well,
us.
that's their standpoint. Is that we've noticed it, therefore we've declared that this is a problem, therefore this is a solution, and that's the only solution we'll accept for it. Otherwise, we'll throw a complete shit fit and accuse you of something horrifying.
Right. I've pushed it forward onto the next.
I'll push you in a minute.
Go, do,
Next
go,
point.
go,
Anything?
go, big yes, yeah. Run
Carry
with it.
on,
Protest-
boy.
You found one protest where people were quoting a Marxist maxim, and you
One?
argued that therefore all social justice activists
Just
are
one?
Marxists. And
Well, they
that's-
are whether they know it or not. I
No,
mean,
that's affirming the consequent. It's false.
No,
It is
I can
massively
okay,
false.
No,
I'm
Richard,
I'm a
Richard,
disproof of this.
Stop
There are
talking,
tons
and I'll
of people-
explain it to you if you like.
Okay, go ahead. All
Okay,
right.
sure. Right. So, yeah, sure. Social justice comes out of postmodernism, right? Postmodernism, I think, is most attributable to Foucault and Marcuse. And Marcuse literally said, what this is designed to do is to confer a certain spirit of Marxism into social activism, because socialism fails everywhere it goes, right? The problem that we have is the dichotomy that social justice views the world under. There is an oppressed class and an oppressor above them, and it is just to hate your oppressor. That means you are perpetuating hatred everywhere you go against the minority, against the majority for the minority.
All right. Now I can't.
Right. So Sargon's getting overly
Feisty.
aggressive.
Feisty this time.
Yeah, which doesn't
Yeah,
help
he
him.
starts.
If he
No.
made that point saliently and quietly and calmly and went, look, this is Marxism and this is why, it would have come across a lot better. just me.
Yep.
I don't know. Because he was completely on fucking point now. He's absolutely right. And Richard Carrier's managing to sit there and go, oh, I'm talking to a crazy person. A kind of attitude about him. And, yeah, he's a better debater than Sargon, sadly.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I still feel that was a good quote-unquote grand slam for Sargon's argument.
Oh yeah, as I said, Sargon's
Yeah.
right, but I'm trying to look at this from the aspect of a total sort of bystander to the whole thing that's walked in and gone, who are these two people? What's this about?
Christ, yeah. So Sargon just needs to calm down. If he could make his points just calmer and more direct towards Carrier rather than seemingly shouting at the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever been his way, though.
No, I know, but in this time it would have worked because the last time it worked because the other guy was being a dick. This time it doesn't work because this guy's very calm, collected, and isn't being a dick.
Yeah, he isn't as much a dick.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's clear that it looks like someone kicked Sargon's puppy before this started.
Is that right? Right, that's the net. No, too far back.
Come on, you believe in you.
There we go.
There we
Right.
go.
Onward.
World better.
And
We should be
how-
working on those. And you can criticize the extremists who are getting in the way and fucking things up. That's
Did someone just join?
Yeah.
All right, crashing your stream.
Carp, we're streaming. Shut up.
Carpo, how you doing,
Right,
dude?
Carp.
I'm doing good, my friend. Who's streaming?
I'm streaming.
Trig.
Okay, so you shut your fucking mouth. Don't ever tell me to shut up again, you little bitch. You understand me? Just because you performed one show in front of 50 incels doesn't mean you're the king now, okay?
Oof.
Spicy boy.
Oof,
Spicy boy.
indeed.
Feisty tonight, are we, Carp?
He schooled you, didn't he?
apparently.
I
At
feel.
least I performed a show,
I'm
dickhead.
stalled, Yeah.
Yeah, I performed many shows before you were even a fucking boy, okay? So
Right.
relax.
You relax.
This motherfucker performs one show. I told him his confidence would fucking soar. Wait till you get appendicitis, motherfucker. Wait.
Oh, I can't wait for that day, to be honest.
Why? What is?
Because I imagine he wants me to die.
No. Everybody who has conflated ego usually simmers down after some issue to do with their digestive system.
Right.
See,
Intriguing.
look at him, smarmy all of a fucking sudden. He's usually a
I
sweet
have no
boy.
idea what is going on anymore.
Yeah, this is getting too far now.
Your Uncle Fester, shut up. What are you guys streaming about?
We were taking the piss a little out of the Sargon versus Richard Carrier Mythcon panel that was put up a couple of days ago, and they're having a no true SJW discussion, and we were just having
Quite
a
the
bit of a
back and
giggle about
forth
it.
so far.
You know, bit of bants.
I heard bad things.
I can understand why people gave it bad reviews. Sargon comes across as a little bit of aggressive, and Richard Carrier sits there basically playing no true SJW through the whole thing and going, well, yeah, but that's not me. That's just a couple of people over there. They're crazy. Don't worry about them. Look, we're all nice people over here. So that would be my summation of the whole thing, and then Sargon just stands there going angry about it, and it doesn't play well. But it's a shame because he makes good points, and he's not wrong with most of what he's saying. But he's it's Sargon
No
in
offense.
debate, isn't it? He's not the best at it. Bless him.
I don't mean to offend you, my friend.
Uh-huh.
Right? But what did you expect from boomers?
Look. I'm self-doxing here as actually older than Sargon.
Christ.
He
That's a horrendous fact.
That's
Dude.
basically a hate fact. I know.
Yeah, we need you banned.
Here's the thing, right?
Take the stream down.
If you were doing this instead of Sargon, do you think you would have done a better job? Be honest.
If I were in his seat debating Richard Carrier, I actually think I would, to be honest. But
What were your tactics? What would your tactics be? Mine would be to sexually harass him into being on. He won't be able to deliver his points as effectively.
To be honest, from you it wouldn't be harassment, would it? He would probably just go for it. It would just
Dive right on in.
I would actually play his own game back at him. Sargon's too confrontational. What to deal with Carrier, you need to draw him in and get him to agree, and bring him in and just go. And then there's these people, and these people are the guys at the front of it. How do we deal with that? And basically make him an ally, whereas Sargon's trying to go in there and hit him with a stick.
Okay, so seduce him and then show him your balls. I get it.
That's always been
More
the
or
winning
less.
tactic. Yeah.
Actually,
So don't just wear shorts and no underwear and let them just plop out. And then Richard
No.
will get too
No.
distracted.
With warfare, with debate, with Lovecraft, the whole thing. You seduce, and you get them to give themselves to you rather than to. Not HP Lovecraft. I mean, that would be Cthulhu-esque and weird and tentacly. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God's sake, Kurt.
Other elder gods are available.
The
I'm
elder
near
gods
shock
are-
near you.
Listen. You want to give your lady a good time? You blindfold the bitch. You take out a live octopus and you set it loose on her vagina.
That's
Well, I'm glad you've joined.
that's weird, dude.
Hey,
Listen, the Japanese have been practicing it for centuries, okay? Do the
That doesn't
Japanese
shock.
bitches complain? I don't think so.
I mean, I don't know any Japanese people, so I cannot confirm that.
They're always just like thankful that they they always look like they're not enjoying regular sex. That's why they look hurt. They're just like, when you bringing out the octopus?
I mean, I'm pretty sure they just can't see half the time.
Wow. Listen,
well, if they're wearing a
I've
blindfold, that's probably true.
I've explained my reasoning behind why Asians look like this, right? I believe
Okay.
it's a conspiracy.
Okay.
I believe they have normal-looking eyes, but they are constantly focusing, and that's why they're good at robotics.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also why they're good at working. They can make everything smaller because they're so much better focused. Americans and English, we've got big eyes. We stand them way back.
They drink too much beer.
Yeah. We can't see things as small as they can.
You okay? Fucking god. We have gone absolutely off the rails. We've just completely abandoned what we were meant to be doing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Boys and
breaking
girls,
bread. We do sometimes talk about what we actually meant to.
about current
we
issues.
lost the 3 viewers that were actually worth keeping anyway.
Did
So,
we?
Can I be
yeah,
honest? With you?
around-
Oh.
Is this like? Can I be honest with you?
Sure.
Is this not old news?
What, the
posted
octopus on
yesterday.
Yeah.
the vagina thing? Oh, this was posted a couple of days ago. The octopus on the
Yeah.
vagina
No,
thing
literally
is very
yesterday.
new. Yeah.
Like the debate was like a good couple of weeks ago, but I think like that would have been like for only people who watch on a live stream or actually at the event. Now anyone can watch it.
Yeah.
I need to ask you something very important.
Including
Sure.
us losers.
Yes.
What would you prefer out of the two? Butt sex with your very hot stepsister or holding hands with your fiance?
It's just really relevant.
Jesus, dude.
Yes. I need to know. What is your preference?
Just really relevant to the topic of stream.
What is
So
your preference?
incestuous anal sex or
No. Listen carefully. Butt sex with your really hot stepsister.
oh, okay, stepsister, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Or
Or hand holding with your fiance.
what?
What is your preference?
What the fuck is this question?
So it's the choice. So, do I have the fiance while I'm butt sexing my hot stepsister?
No.
She's
In this
watching.
case, in
Okay.
this case, either you
Okay.
have a really hot stepsister that you butt fuck, or you have a fiance that you're holding hands with. What is your
I-
preference?
Everyone's
I'm
joining.
going to go with the fiance because if you've got a fiance, you pretty much probably she's hot and you're having.
Already
the
doing
butt
that
sex.
on the regular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you've got fiance, then that means you're gonna get married at some point, which means goodbye to half your shit.
Yeah, well, not necessarily,
Ah,
and you know,
Started
present,
the
MGTOW
MGTOW.
incel, listen to him.
yeah, I know.
Such
I
a
just like,
MGTOW.
no, there's something to the whole marriage thing. You know, don't write it off just yet.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's got to be the fiance because
Listen. As
the
far as
really
you
hot
fucking know, your
stepsister is just
fiancé-
going to cause weird fucking family dinners at Christmas and shit.
As far as you fucking know, you have half a fiance, okay? Like she's been eaten by a shark from the waist down, and she has this
Half a
weird
fiance.
As far as you know, I'm talking about right now. Which would you rather be doing? Would you rather be butt fucking your really hot stepsister,
Okay.
or would you be holding hands with somebody that you're?
Okay. Wait.
You have to make a choice.
I think we've made the choice, and I think we're getting quite a lot off topic.
We're
here.
getting extremely sidetracked, and we must get back to what the
Carlo,
stream is
Carlo,
about.
We love your
Okay,
company, but
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
we're going to have to kick you out for now.
Because
I'm afraid.
you're killing me here. This is yeah.
Sorry.
That's fine, man. You are a brief spark of light in this stream.
yeah. This sort of shit that I'm very welcome actually, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But let's try to stay
Yeah,
sort of on topic.
enjoy your stream. I'll be
Yeah,
back in an
shall
hour.
do, man. See
All
you
right,
around, man.
dude. I'll see you in a bit. Take care.
And now we have a wild D.
And we have a wild
No,
D.
you don't. I only came in to kick him out. I'm gonna leave you guys to it. 'Cause
Okay.
I was watching and enjoying that shit, and he fucked it up.
He kind of did, but whatever. It's Carpo. He's a wild card.
You know
You
what?
never
I
see him
know, but
coming.
yeah,
and
carry
to be
on,
honest, I'm gonna have to take that clip and post it by itself as an extra kill.
Yeah, because that was like a good 5 minutes of joy.
that was something else. And
That was.
okay.
Right, so what were we talking about?
There was, I don't know. I just got octopuses on
Yeah, we've got
vaginas.
octopuses
now.
fucking your stepsister, fucking no, madness. Just nothing but madness.
Okay, I'm gonna take a quick sip.
Let's just
Hmm.
carry on and pretend that never happened.
coffee.
Right. Sargon and Richard,
Oh
Richard
yeah,
Spencer.
facing social justice.
these fuckers.
Take two.
Yeah, carry on. Let's press play somebody.
Totally fine. It's when you conflate the two that you're not helping. You're also being a
Right, stop laughing.
Sorry, we just can't. We can't. We're still in shell shock at what just happened.
Chill out.
Take the
alright?
image out of your head of.
I don't think I
Chinese
can.
girls. Damn you, Carbo.
He's fucked us up. He's absolutely fucked us. Right,
As you said,
right.
95% in your estimation
No,
just now.
no, that was a made-up statistic. You know
Yeah,
that
but
you're
I
doing
don't
this
know.
again.
No,
You heard
what,
me.
using your words.
No.
Yes, I have.
I actually explicitly said I was making up a statistic. I did
fine.
not say it was the
I
actual
accept
statistic.
your
It was a
statistic.
hypothetical statistic. You
I
know that's
accept
what
it.
happened, and you
I
just tried
accept your
to
hypothetical.
you just tried to weasel out of that.
No, I'm accepting.
You
This
actually
looks like
no.
a
You just
reversal,
now
doesn't
said
it?
that I said that was the percentage.
Yeah, and I am accepting
Okay.
your hypothetical statistic.
And you're saying you agree it's hypothetical. This is not a percentage.
Yeah, no,
to be verified.
I'm sure,
Okay.
I'm sure it's less
All
than 5% that a reasonable
I'm
social
sure that's what
justice
you
is.
believe.
But I'm going to be that
But don't
charitable.
attribute that to me.
Right?
Is what I'm saying.
I'm going to be that charitable. What is your plan?
I'm doing it.
Are you?
Yes.
You're suing them for being slanderous towards
That's
you.
dealing with the bad actors. Meanwhile, I'm helping solve the real problems by promoting actual rational ways to do this. And there's lots of people who are doing the same thing I'm doing. I've mentioned that I can give you a list after this
Yes,
if
you
you
can
want.
give me a short list of people who you personally like.
No.
Oof.
So
Big oof.
the other thing Carrier does a lot is talk about the quote real problems.
The real issues of our time.
Good
The
apples,
only one-
bad apples. No
The only one,
Scotsman.
the only one he brings up is abortion.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one
Yeah,
he keeps going on and on and on
he keeps
about.
beating this dead horse of abortion
Yeah.
Yeah,
so much. Like, why?
man, I'm really glad those are the real problems.
Yeah, like it seems like abortion is like the only, like the easiest issue to stump someone on.
Oh, we'll,
And,
we'll
You
get
know,
to other
because
issues
it's
later.
such a minefield issue that, you know, if you catch someone out, they're fucked. Like they're done. They're gone, done for.
And he hasn't really defined after the abortion issue and whatever other issues he has planned what's going to happen to the social justice community. You know, what's after? What comes
Ban
after?
posse.
Chaos.
Whatever other word upsets them.
Yeah. Anyway, where was my timestamps?
Don't know, mate. My timestamps.
Right.
Right.
All right.
But in that moment,
let's get
it
right.
did seem like Richard was one getting angry and Sargon was the relaxed one for a brief moment.
Yeah, roles reversed for them. Yeah.
That's because Richard Carrier didn't understand what Sargon was doing. But yeah, it's
Look at him smuggle drinks back.
So we're out there. It's hard work. You're right. There's a lot of it's a
It's an
big
impossible
problem.
task. You can't.
That's
do. You haven't got
Starbucks.
the
We're all
facilities
doing it.
to
You're doing
I
it
hope
in a
it is,
sense
'cause that'd be
when you
pretty
try and
funny.
No, I'm
criticize
not
that.
trying. I'm not trying to
The
fix
only
social
problem I have,
justice.
you criticize them all the time. You've
Yeah, but
done
there's no
videos.
fixing
You've got a huge
There's
audience.
no fixing it.
You
If I can't do
you have
it,
tons of influence.
yeah, if I can't do it with 850,000 subscribers, you can't do it with 5,000 subscribers.
You're having an impact.
5,000 subscribers.
yeah.
You're
that's what
having
I
an
got my
impact.
I know, but
statistics.
it's
But
not.
the question is,
It's not for what
What have we got?
what I dislike
200.
is that you throw the real issues.
I had
the
more
real
subscribers
problems,
than
the
at
real
one
solutions
point.
under the bus.
Yeah,
You
No, I
don't
don't.
address them.
he's
No, I don't.
relatively.
These things can all be addressed, but the problem is we can't.
Oh,
Small.
so you do agree
Right,
that
yeah,
there are
relatively
ways
small in
to that
terms
you
of,
agree
Micro by the
discrimination in
sounds of it.
society, it's a problem and there are solutions for it.
Well, it depends what we're talking about on a specific topic.
Correct, yeah. But there's,
So,
in
yeah.
general, you could think of, there's a few examples of
Yes, society is not perfect and things need to be fixed.
Right, right. No, that's actually important. No, that's actually a significant thing for you to admit,
yes,
right?
that's significant.
Yes, because it almost sounded
Well,
like you were
hang on a
denying
sec.
that earlier, so I'm glad that I
can pause
got that
anytime.
clarified.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one
But you
thought
do
that.
agree.
Did you hear what he said just there? He is very much surprised that Sargon would have that viewpoint. It's almost like he doesn't think Sargon is another fellow human.
To a
Well,
degree.
it's almost as if any issue he thinks he faces he can fix, whereas no other person can.
Yes.
And
Bit of
Sargon's
God
like,
complex, isn't it?
no. Sargon then goes, I'm more popular than you. You can't do shit that
Yeah.
I can. They
Yeah.
both seem to have an equal tedium towards each other.
Yeah.
You can't do what I can.
Also, I think, again, knowing what Carrier says later on, when he talks about what people can do, it's all very low-level stuff. It's all very, go to fundraisers, get involved in raffles, that type of shit. Do stuff on a local scale, and
That's so mowed lawn, everything's clean sort of mindset.
well, I mean, if you're calling him a boomer to a degree, yes, but that is how you do a grassroots movement. There's no denying that that's how politics is done from the grassroots up. But in this day and age, with mass global communication, a huge amount of that grassroots stuff is being led with a popularist movement, if you like, through social media that is so very different. And again, Carrier's kind of no true Scotsmaning that maybe that's the wrong fallacy, but he's diving out the way of owning up to a larger problem and going, look, I've tidied my room, basically.
That's a fair point, actually. Yeah.
It needs more these days, and that's what Sargon's trying to point out. Carrier's trying to do things too small. Neither is wrong. That's the thing.
I know where you're coming from, but at the same time, it feels like, as I said earlier, like this guy Richard's probably got a nice neighborhood. Everyone mows their lawns, all clean, and it's like it almost feels like. And I'm not saying this is what he believes, but it's the way he's explaining it to me. Sounds like he's like, I've done my part. I feel good now. Rather than I've done my part. The world is a slightly better place. No, so that's just how it's coming across to me when I listen to him say stuff.
Both are important. Both sides are important. It's the activism at the wider level that Sargon's doing. It's almost global level activism, in comparison to Richard's tidy your room approach, which is roughly what he's kind of advocating for on a non-Jordan Peterson kind of way. Both are important. You can't you can't have them. You can't have a global sort of advocacy group without there being some some actual grassroots to it. You can't just totally astroturf the whole thing.
No.
Well, of course, but it has to be done with the intent that you're doing it for the cause, not for making yourself feel good about yourself.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Sargon and the anti-SJW movement, the reason I got into all of this and the rest of us, we are reactionaries to what we've seen hitting us in the face and going, ugh, this is horrible.
Absolutely.
It is an invasion into our games, goddammit.
But Carrier doesn't seem to recognise it at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't recognise that anyone would have any backlash towards social justice.
Yeah.
He can't seem to understand any reasoning for why someone would go, I'm an anti-feminist or I'm an anti-SJW.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, right, shall we continue?
Let's press on.
Push on.
You can find your occasional 100 students maybe out of college of 10,000, 30,000 students, right? So you can find these people, like those Marxists in your video.
These are the social justice activists. The rest of those students aren't SJWs, mate.
But they are working on they care about the social justice issues and are working on solving them.
You don't have magisterium on people who think they're trying to fix society.
It's not like the only people who are trying to solve the actual discrimination problems in our society are these extremists you're talking about. There are way more people who are actually solving these problems, care about these problems, and working on it. You just don't want to call that social justice for some reason. But that's what it is.
I'll tell you why, right? It's because they don't describe themselves as social justice activists.
They would. Yes, they would. They would say that this is a social justice issue.
No, I really don't think they would.
This is
It sounds like he's saying that normal Joes are social justice advocates.
This is what I was saying earlier about he goes, right, these are the extremists, yes, they're bad, but they're not social justice warriors. Well, we're all social justice warriors and we're lovely people, we're everybody. And really what you're arguing about is a windmill over there. It's fairly pointless. It's not a real thing, don't look at that. Just because they're trying to advocate for literally shutting down freedom of speech and hitting people on the head with bike locks and
wanting not the real problem, Trig. Look how lovely this guy is. He reckons, you know what? That most people are social justice warriors because they, I don't know, supported some sort of they bought an electric car.
They bought an electric car.
Or some shit.
They give to charity. They got a shelter dog rather than a pure breed, and they help they help out at a soup kitchen, etc. These are good people, absolutely good people. But they're not the reeing freaking nutcases on the streets shouting at you and going, you're fucking a white male, or some other horrifying weird cliche as if being white and a man is something to be ashamed of. Because I'm kind of right there with them when they go, you shouldn't judge me on the skin that I was born in and my gender. You fucking judge me for the shit that I do and say. The rest is not my fault. Yeah? Oh, damn, I can't believe we're talking about this shit in this day and age. Really? Seriously, someone just, oh my fucking god. I mean, the 80s were so much cooler than this shit. You guys weren't around then, but
here we go
fucking
again.
hell.
Stop being such a boomer.
We
Yeah,
had actual
just-
fucking
this is-
commies to deal with then. We were like, right, and them over there behind that curtain, commies, fuck those guys. These days, it's the fucking kids. Communism's great. Fucking what? Jesus fucking Christ.
It's simple. We just add to the national syllabus that for 1 week when they're in 5th form, they have to spend a week in Venezuela.
Damn.
And when they come back, / if they come back, they will have learnt more about the world and their place
Yeah.
in it.
Fucking Venezuelan kids will literally eat them alive. Literally eat them alive. Fucking hell, look at the meat on them. Quick, we can feed ourselves for a week. Look, Mum.
Food.
Anyway. Okay, right.
Back on
Sorry,
topic.
sorry. Back on topic. I had a mild interlude there.
Shall we continue?
By all
hope
means.
so.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that that's because social justice has a definitive connotation. Everyone is aware that social justice activists are a specific group of people, and they are utterly obnoxious.
No, see, you're overgeneralizing. You're saying everybody knows this.
Yes, this is a widely held perception.
Yeah,
It's a generalization.
There
that's true.
might be a lot of people who think that. I don't know.
There
but
definitely are.
I'm talking about, if we look at just the superset of people who care about what actually are social justice issues and actually do things about it that are not these extremist things, that superset is way freaking larger than the subset of people who are these obnoxious
Sure.
extremist people.
And we'll put them to the side too, because they're
Yeah.
not the problem.
Well, I call all the rest of those people the real social justice warriors.
Okay, I don't care
The
what you call
real ones.
Well, it matters if we're going to have this conversation about where
No.
do atheism and social justice meet. It meets right freaking
Hey,
there.
guys. I think
It's
it's
not
the-
down here at the
Is that the
extremist group.
4th or 5th No True Scotsman?
Hey guys, we're the real
Perpetual.
justice activists.
He isn't defining himself. He's defining all the people who aren't bad.
Yeah, he's defining all this mate.
We're gonna
Yes.
The
Everyone-
good people be good. Weird that.
The bad people be bad.
Doesn't mean the bad people
I'm
don't
shook
exist.
by this philosophy. Do tell me more, Mr. Pigeon Carrier.
So,
or
yeah,
Carrier Pigeon.
It is, I think he's, like I said, I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, but he's definitely,
Subtle.
definitely strawmanning the whole social justice warrior. Well, maybe not strawmanning, but yeah. It's like,
Right.
it's not
I
a real
think
problem.
in
It's
part
a-
he actually believes it though.
Yeah,
I-
that's why I'm not totally sure he's being dishonest on purpose, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I think he is attributing something to people who don't attribute it to themselves at
Hmm.
this point.
I'd
attributing
agree.
Social
agree, I mean-
justice.
I think he believes social justice is just the normal operation of the human spirit.
Hmm.
Yeah. Ah well. Anyway, continuing onward.
As we
You do not speak for
progress.
those people.
I speak for the larger majority of people who are actually doing it right.
You absolutely do not.
Yeah, I do.
No, Richard Carrier does not speak for anyone.
I cite them, I link to them, I quote them.
Yeah, but this is not the large majority of people. This is, again, your tiny bubble that has been ostracized by the wider social justice community because you have moral issues that
the
they
wider
can't
social
bring.
justice community doesn't even know who I am.
Then how do you speak for them?
You just completely fucking buried yourself.
I speak for the wider social justice
stop-
community because they have no fucking clue who I am.
Way to fucking sandbag yourself.
Oh,
God's sake,
man.
man.
of beauty.
Sometimes he's not a better debater than
Look at that
Sargon.
fucking face from Sargon.
That
though.
is a fairly
He's laughing along with us.
Yeah.
Oh,
He couldn't believe what he heard either.
yeah.
Should we just listen to his laugh off?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
let's
on.
hear
Social
let's hear him
justice
smoke
community.
it up. There we go.
That's why you can't fix these problems, Richard.
Exactly.
Look at his fucking hand, gay
fucking
boy.
on. Dead fucking on. He can't fix these problems because he can't. The people he's trying to fix don't even know him.
Exactly, and they don't want to know him, and they
He
fucking
has no
and
control over them.
When they
And
do
the
find out about him, they
mentalist-
call him myth.
exactly. I was gonna say the
Perverts.
mentalists who do know him fucking call him a fucking sex pest.
The people,
Fucking
yeah, the
credible
people
one
he
at that.
represents are the people he's suing for slander.
Exactly.
Right.
Twat.
Sorry, yeah, I was just trying to get the right time code.
Come on, eh?
It's okay.
Probably going to be rational, I'm assuming.
Well, it depends what it is. I mean,
But that's the thing is, are you saying there's no solution? We should give up and not fight for women's rights and abortion?
I'm not talking about the issues
I'm
you're
trying to
concerned
get you.
about.
No.
my God.
That is not true. No, we have many states in this country
Oh,
where
here we
abortion
fucking
access is
go again.
almost zero because of gerrymandering of
Can we
laws.
get the
that make
abortion
it almost
count?
impossible for abortion.
No
not
true
to be
Scotsman
public
on
property.
abortion count.
We have
That's
Yeah,
how
his-
is that? How's that got anything to do with equal rights?
Yeah. Well, we will get to there in a minute because there is a great gotcha later with regards how is abortion rights an equal rights issue. And it is definitely abortion rights is definitely not a women's issue. It is a human rights issue.
Wait,
Yeah.
I think we might have skipped ahead of something I remember seeing. Don't have to go back, but I thought there was a point where Sargon asked him, why does social justice promote the concept of hate speech, and Richard just kind of prevaricates around it.
I believe that's later on.
Hold on, the freedom of speech bit. Actually,
No,
this is
I've got-
roundabouts here. I've got a timestamp at 35
yeah.
minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
35
I think
minutes.
we
is my
skipped
timestamp.
past it.
All right.
So let's
Whoops.
jump past
Let
it.
me put that there.
I mean, I normally wouldn't, but it's such a nice moment to listen to.
my attempts to
course
fix
they
it.
have this problem.
It's the people that are having this extremist problem. Now I agree.
No.
I would like it if people would, if you could do videos that were focused and not in saying all social justice is evil, but focus on the actual extremism and say this is a problem.
Okay.
And we
No.
can
Let's
get,
talk about the
get
basic,
this spread
let's
to
talk
more
about the
people.
basic principles of social justice then, right? Why is it that social justice promotes a concept called hate speech?
Promotes the concept of hate speech.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not that researched on the exact different doctrines of hate
Bullshit.
Speech, so in which country are we talking about?
Weasel words.
Any country, it's one of the
Not
underlying
researched on
principles of
hate
social
speech,
justice,
calls
that
himself a
language should be
social justice
controlled
warrior. Get
by
out of
telling
here.
people what they're doing is using something called hate speech, otherwise known as free speech.
Well, in the U.S., we don't have hate speech.
Yes, because the U.S. is still technically a liberal country.
No,
this
but
is
we
the
don't have
continued-
laws on that. So, like, you're thinking like certain specific countries that have laws.
He's acting because there's no law on hate speech in America.
It doesn't exist.
That no one's promoting it. Promoting the idea that
yeah.
a law should be legislated.
I know we've all heard
more-
free speech is not hate speech. And if you can't
Yeah,
say
he's-
something nice, don't say it. Kind of nonsense.
They're doing that. Like, you remember the Supreme Court ruled that hate speech is free speech, but the reason that happened was because a hate speech law was going to be put in place.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the Supreme Court denied it, saying that. That's the reason we know that at all.
I also love the cliche of the American effectively saying, the world ends at the borders of the United States.
More or less.
Yeah. If it's not
Like,
an issue
all
in
of-
my country, it's not
like-
an issue.
Yeah, like on all of his points, like the abortion issue, like that's an American-based issue more or less. Over here, that isn't so much a debate. That seems to be kind of like set down in stone,
I would say
apart from maybe a few outliers.
Well, it's coming. I mean, look what happened in Ireland.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a conversation that they're having in Ireland. I don't think it's coming in England because we've already got very reasonable abortion laws in England.
Yeah, like they have been written down, codified, unlikely to be changed depending on who's gonna get in. Like I don't think like the conversation is more or less is kind of over here.
Well,
Meanwhile, in America,
it's something like 14 weeks in England, and if you haven't made your decision after
like
14 weeks, tough shit, you're having the kid.
Yeah, which is good. Yeah, like when it's not actually developed into something vaguely humanish or baby formed.
It's still getting close at that point. It's still having a nervous system starting to generate at that point.
Yeah, but it's not fully there just yet.
Yeah,
it's at the borderline.
Exactly. That's 14 weeks is the.
It may come, but I don't know if anything will come of it. Like
I think what we're gonna see is, as we've seen before in England, when Black Lives Matter tried to shut down an airport.
Oh Christ!
It was a
stuff
joke.
Migrates over.
It was
to the
yes, but the
internet.
Black Lives Matter thing in England was an absolute fiasco. It was about
Of course
15
it was.
people stringing them across a motorway, and lots of people getting really pissed off at them. It was not.
Yeah.
They also the moment you bring up the crime statistics and the police, sort of statistics and violence and with regards police and the ethnic communities in England, they soon shut the fuck up because it does not tell the story they want it to tell. We haven't. I mean, ever since that I can't remember the kid's name, the black kid that got stabbed. And
Michael Brown?
No. It was years and years and years ago. It was perhaps in the 90s now. And ever since then, the police got accused of institutional racism. It made them jump, and it's part of where we've had all sorts of problems with regards the police not being, shall we say, equally aggressive towards hunting down crimes where ethnic groups are concerned.
Like basically Rotherham.
Yeah, because they're terrified of being called institutionally racist again, because it goes so freaking badly in the press.
It cuts deep.
Yeah. So
I don't think you have to tiptoe around it.
Police
do not like being called racist.
Yeah, they do not like to be called racist.
They will not act upon any group in which they believe they will be called racist, whether that be any ethnic minority.
Certainly, there have been incidences like Rotherham, like the multitude of those similar scandals. But that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Yeah. Next time.
We will touch on that one at some point, I'm sure. You know, when we all want to completely commit social suicide and never be.
Hey, Thursday's open.
Thursday, yeah, why not?
Thursday's open, wide open.
So, should we go back forward?
So
back forward.
Yeah.
Is social suicide a social justice issue?
Yes.
Yes.
Next question.
There we go. Brought it back on topic.
Good boy.
Yes.
Progress on fourth, boy.
Right. On to
Okay. Yeah. Actually, yeah. It's jump forward to about so about 40 minutes. Yeah, 41. Actually.
We went through 41. Did we? Because
we didn't catch the big oof gotcha moment.
I think that this time code is it, but I will push it back anyway.
He's saying that people who are women who consider that's about 38 minutes.
No, just no. I'm fairly sure I got it. So.
No. That is not true. No, we have many states in this country where abortion access is almost zero because of gerrymandering of laws that make it almost impossible for abortion clinics to operate. We have masses of people who are protesting.
Stop. Do you know that the women do not also agree with that?
Yeah, here it is.
What?
Women in those states, I'm guessing you're talking about conservative Christians.
But okay, what
The
is
women
your
in those
position?
states
Do you side
don't
with those
want
women?
abortion access.
Who cares what they think unless you're siding with them? Do you think? Do you think? Are you actually
go
siding?
on, Mr. Male Feminist. Tell me who cares what women think.
See, you're falsely generalizing again. You're
I'm
making this
saying-
false assumption that I can't possibly criticize any woman for anything. That's not feminism. That's the social justice extremism you're talking about. No, of course. Women who are against abortion are wrong, and we can criticize them for that. Social justice people do that all the time.
There isn't really a right and wrong in politics, right? In politics, you have opinions. What do you prefer? I believe this, you believe that. Now, everyone's got their reasons for these things.
What do you prefer in this issue?
I don't care. It doesn't matter what I prefer, right?
Okay. You're evading. You're not going to answer this.
Ooh.
Hot. Jabby.
Black.
Yeah, somewhat, isn't it?
Big
Am I allowed to say
jabbercus.
it that way anymore?
Pot calling kettle black. Yeah, no. Both pot and kettles are made from cast iron
Pots.
and were black in colour.
I had
Pots
someone
calling kettles
try to
black,
tell me
something
it was
about
a racist
greenhouses.
statement, that's all.
No, there's nothing racist about the colour of cast iron
Yet.
I'll call the police on you because
even
that's
if
racist.
even if they're made of copper, we are talking about a reference that was back in the days of when things were put over a fire and were rapidly covered in soot, which I believe is also part of that one. So
Right, yes.
Back to where we
let's
are.
not fucking call racist everything. We don't need to be them.
Please,
Yeah.
Ez.
We don't need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Let the SJs do it.
Let them do that and let us go fuck off.
Exactly.
Thanks for that, Ez. Great.
Now,
Ding.
do we?
Anyway.
I don't know. I think we can jump forward a little bit because there's an awful lot of SJWs are bad, blah blah blah,
On
and
this,
Sorry.
I kind of wanted to say that it's amazing to me that he would say people's opinions do not matter. What matters is the greater good.
Oh,
Doesn't matter.
Greater good.
Doesn't matter, remind you.
it's a bit
The means
horrifying,
justify
isn't
the
it?
ends.
The greater good is
Greater
always
good.
a one to make you
That-
run.
Doesn't that lead to
For
the
the
whole
hills.
there's no bad tactics, only bad targets?
No, it leads to hot fuzz.
Okay, the whole no bad tactics, only bad targets is a whole other question.
Oh, excuse me.
And yeah, we're not going to get into that one at the moment, but there is such a thing as a
Mhm.
toolbox of things that can and can't be done, and as long as the consequences of those are known, you use what is appropriate. So you use a screwdriver to screw a screw into the hole, but you know the appropriate tool for the appropriate problem.
Yeah.
That said, you have to be aware, and there's some things that have got absolutely horrific moral consequences, and you don't do them because of that.
Mhm.
But anyway, we're digressing. But yes,
Always.
greater good is a terrifying fucking thing.
Greater good.
Who's fucking greater good? Anyway, yeah. Do you want to carry on, or shall we?
Let's sally on forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Hold on, let me find
We jump
timestamps.
to around 44 minutes.
It's
The question
yeah,
comes up: how?
Yeah.
Oh, is that where you're going anyway?
Yeah. 44 minutes.
43:50.
Yeah, because there's
Alright,
there's a lot of.
You are not like the extremists.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Yeah, sure.
Ready?
Do you mean by your definition of the extremist? Let's be
No,
practical.
your definition.
Then I don't understand your question. What are you even trying to get at?
How do you differ from social justice extremists? Now, okay. So I came here expecting that you'd want to talk about.
I don't embrace this ideology you're talking about.
Right. So you're not here to discuss it.
I'm not here to discuss that. No, I'm here to discuss the real social justice activism
Okay,
that
but
actually
everyone
gets
is
things done.
expecting us to talk about the social justice ideology.
And we agree on that. So there's nothing to talk about.
Well,
We
then
both
what-
agree it's bad.
Why do you seem so defensive?
What are you talking about? What do you mean defensive? Defensive of what? The issue is
The
this.
social justice ideology
He
that's
asked the
currently
question,
calling
started
you a
this whole
rapist.
talk. Where should atheism and social justice meet? I've answered that question.
Okay.
And then you want to go talk about some other form of social justice that I agree it should not intersect with. So we
Right.
don't have anything to
So
talk about.
is this a semantic game that we're playing?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes.
Sargon
Right.
does this a lot. This is one of his
I
strengths.
do this a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
I do this.
Okay.
There he is.
And Sargon
Oh,
of
look
Akkad
at these
for
It's not
windmills
about
over
social
here.
justice whatsoever.
Fuck
The
off.
entire premise of social justice.
Did you see that? That was it. He does that
was-
several times, where he just goes, all these social justice warrior things that you're crazy, they're over there, they're crazy. It's just no. He's that's where he's dishonest, in my opinion.
You notice also as well, like, are we just talking semantics here? Both say yes, we are, and then he has to sneak in this extra.
Yeah, Sargon does that a lot. He pushes them over, literally, physically pushed them over to the right, and went and that's Sargon Strawman. That's not me. He's kind of correct in that, but I don't think he's being fair to the topic of the conversation, and I think that's the problem. Is he knows exactly what he's.
Whether or not Sargon does it all the time is irrelevant. He's not doing it here.
Yeah, to a degree. He's strawmanning a bit, but yeah, it's not a. If there were an SJW in the room, that strawman would be very fleshed out very rapidly. But this guy's clearly reformed. Well, he's according to what he says later on. But yeah, shall we crack on?
Yep.
Go for it.
Let's
Is that
go.
language is oppressive, and I am the one who talks about semantics all the
Oh
time.
my God.
You are the
No,
one
you're
who are
talking
just
about
you are
a-
just not equipped for this
You're talking
conversation.
about one weird ideology.
You just do not understand your own ideology that you claim to profess,
No.
and you can't discuss it, even if you
It's
don't
not
hold
an
to it yourself.
ideology. Social justice is a fact of society.
Social justice is absolutely an ideology.
no.
We call it intersectionality.
Maybe the term is loaded.
What did he say?
There's
A
discrimination.
fact of
in
society or something like that, or a facet?
Fact
Yeah,
of society.
fact of
was it?
society. Yeah,
Fact.
fact, and he's
Yeah,
going to
it's
go
what I
on.
thought.
He's going to go on, and he's going to call intersectionality a fact of social systems in a minute.
A fact.
Oh, I've got to hear that.
Yeah, so let's push on because I could rant about this as to what, but anyway, let's carry on.
Oh, joy.
That's a fact. That's not an ideology.
You wouldn't agree with that?
Yes, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the ideology of intersectionality.
Yeah, no, he's talking about you're talking about a really obscure, sort of elaborate,
Obscure.
bizarre ideology.
Obscure.
Well, yeah,
It's not obscure.
It's widespread. I'll give you that.
It's
yeah.
in my government.
Oh,
it's in
oh,
your
kind.
government. It's in
widespread.
every university. It is everywhere. They have their own institutions within the universities to propagate diversity. It's like a religion. They have a priestly class.
What's an
they have
example?
activists and proselytes.
This is something that he himself has reinforced. Like I said
That's a-
earlier, it's not about the people and what they want. It's entirely about the greater good.
Yeah.
It's entirely
Yeah,
about.
And he's about to change the subject as well. He's going to do his very reasonable. Yeah, but what about this over here?
It's the way he'll make a statement and immediately draw it back as well.
Mhm.
It's like you're talking about a very small. And
Very
it's like,
small
no,
group that's incredibly widespread.
yeah, apparently.
I can see why Sargon gets frustrated with him. He is a frustrating person to
Here,
debate with.
here it makes sense. It didn't make sense at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because they'd barely talked. But yeah, you're right. Thanks for that.
They have blasphemy laws.
In the U.S.
Yes. Okay, maybe not the laws in the US, but that's only because you have a First Amendment in every other fucking Western country, man.
Well,
Come
yeah, and
on.
I oppose that.
Yeah,
I'm against that.
Okay, but you're not prepared to be able to discuss the ideology that we're all here to discuss then.
Well,
That
so
speaks
Sargon,
to-
The
no, but
question
that
is,
speaks to my
should
point
atheism
even more,
intersect
right?
with it?
No,
We
no.
agree on this.
No, but this is...
The answer is no.
Yeah, but
Done.
this speaks to-
Conversation over. There's nothing
I
else to talk
agree,
about.
I agree. There's nothing for us further to talk about because we couldn't get someone to defend this ideology.
Atheism
That's the
shouldn't
problem.
intersect with it.
Why?
No.
Why would you
don't.
want to necessarily? No, that's the thing. Is like I don't defend that ideology.
I know, I
So,
believe you.
Yeah.
But you,
so
if-
the question being posed to me is, should atheism intersect with that? And the answer is no. I
Yeah,
think
but
the
that's-
answer is it shouldn't
yeah, but
intersect with
this-
that.
Oh,
He's going to
Well,
take
debate
that-
over, lads. Bye.
He's going
Yeah,
to change that later. He's going to change that later and say it's got to intersect with it at this point. Yeah, it's oof. And oh, he's such a fucking slippery one. This one.
Sleazy
Am I
little
the only
bugger.
one who when I hear him say it has to intersect, it's like, why are you using the word intersect? Why not just use normal words?
because it's ideological.
Yeah. It makes
Which
it
is something
sound.
Sargon goes on to say later.
It sounds. It's bigged up when you say intersect.
Yeah.
It gives it more weight.
Because it sounds intellectual.
Yeah,
Or
it sounds
is it
intellectual.
the
It
old,
sounds separate
if I'm
from the
wearing a
common
lab
speak.
coat, I look smarter sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
and also a
Right.
British accent of a certain dialect or region makes you sound smarter. It's all perception.
Yeah,
All of it. All warfare is based on perception.
yeah. That's absolutely.
Right.
Right.
Let's play
Ideology.
This
And
is
should
my
intersect with
opinion.
real social justice
Yeah,
activism.
but this, in my opinion, is you weaseling out of the problem.
No, I'm answering the question. No, the question is, I'm not fucking weaseling.
Let's
Come
talk.
on.
Look, you're talking about
I have
procedure.
freaking answered the question.
Sure.
The question is, where should atheism and social justice meet? The answer is right where I described the intersection. You're talking about this other group where I agree it should not intersect there. We agree. There's nothing to talk about them.
You can storm off now.
I have no reason to storm off.
No, you're right. And I do genuinely appreciate that you're not Thomas Smith, and yeah, come on, guys. Come
Thomas Smith, that was his fucking name.
Yeah,
That was the guy from
Thomas
last
Smith.
time, wasn't
that was
it?
the one last year that burst into tears and stormed off the stage. Yes, when debating Sargon.
I've not seen that, so I might need to find
Oh,
that.
you
Yeah,
It
Well,
sounds
I'll
bad.
show you that
It
to you.
sounds,
It's gold.
yeah. It sounds banterous.
He tried to
Barely.
score points against Sargon by quoting. Sargon said he would never even rape this person, and the whole crowd went, "Way!"
Yes, I wouldn't, and I will reaffirm it now.
And he left.
It was quite. Yes, it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show me that once we're done with this.
Oh, that was something. Yeah, something to behold.
Yeah.
Look at that expression, though. Look at that Sargon.
On Sargon.
On Sargon, there. That whole. That's
His facial expressions have been on point, to be fair.
That you know what? I'm just gonna quickly break out a snipping tool and take a snip of that because that.
I've already done that with a previous one.
Have you?
Like with the previous face, with the previous pause grab, looking content collation or coalition, whatever it's called. Like,
that's pretty groovy. Okay.
You just look at that and you just think you just hear him going, ha.
That thing on the left, like in the bottom left corner, is his arm. I
What
just
the fuck?
realized- What the-
He's
What's
wrapping it around his head. He's some sort of
Jesus.
mutant.
Right. Anyway.
Anyway, back on topic.
Right.
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 Sorry about that. I had a cat invasion.
That's okay.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Come on.
The problem that we have, right, is you can't just sit there and use the term social justice in lowercase and say, well, this is just something completely different to intersectional capital social justice
So you're
that is
afraid of the
everywhere
word.
and causing all of the problems. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
terrorizing
I think
the
it's the
entire-
word. I think it's the word we're hung
He
up
just
on.
doesn't like the word. Yeah.
No, listen, it's not just that I
Identity
don't like the
politics.
word.
Yes, that is also in the question.
Yeah, but the thing we're really talking about is intersectionality. That's what we're talking about, right? But everyone uses colloquially the term social justice because that's what all of these people talk about all the time. And we all know they do, so don't pretend they don't, okay?
Yeah, you're right. No, the ideology is a problem. It's out there.
Yes.
I agree.
Now,
And that is not where atheism should intersect. And we both agree.
Yeah. No shit. Right. I'm actually gonna skip to the timestamp we need.
We need to get at least into the hour mark.
I know it's a bit of
Not
a
in
meme,
favour
but
of-
hashtag define your terms.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah. Throughout this whole thing, totally. Yeah. But
Maybe.
go on. Hit the play.
platforming, not in favour
Yeah.
of harassment,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in favour of all this.
Good way to put
and
it.
I am more than happy to credit you with that because you are clearly not that kind of person.
Yes.
But there are lots of people who are intersectional, and that's the far left radicals who hate capitalism, who hate white people, they hate the imperialistic West, all of these people, and they're really numerous.
Is
And
that
they-
how you see intersectionality, Richard? I know you just read it.
No, he's misusing the term. But
How am I misusing the term?
no, intersectionality is once again it's just a reference to a fact of social systems. It's not a reference to an ideology. You're attributing it. You're referring to people who attach it to
Social
an
justice is
Hang
a
on, no. It was born from
Fucking what?
but Trig, it's a fact.
I need
Copper.
someone to run that by me again. 'cause
Okay,
my brain kinda just stopped
intersectionality.
working on that.
Intersectionality is a fact of social systems. Hold
Yep.
on. Hold on. No. Right.
Ooh, dear.
Okay. Right. No. That's a fallacy. It's a characteristic.
only-
Yeah, I was gonna say. I've put down my note here because I blew a fuse when I heard this. It's a characteristic feature of social systems when observed in a particular manner, i.e. an ideological lens. It is not a fact. I'm holding an ashtray in my hand. Yeah, you can't see this. That is a fact. Yeah, you can't prove. I cannot prove to you that that's fact, but this is a fact. Yeah, I'm dropping it on the
Right.
table. You might be able to hear that. Those are facts. These are real things. What he's describing, intersectionality is a framework, a tool built by a fucking ideology, yeah, that they have imposed onto reality and gone, look, it's a fact. No, motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking fact.
It's only a fact if you look at it through that very specific ideological lens.
Yeah.
It only becomes a fact once you assume it's real.
The whole concept of looking through lenses, or at least that language, came from the same place.
It's no more a fact that it's real than a Christian saying God is real is a fact.
God, no, real.
It's no more a fact than the fucking fact that the pigeons flew left this morning is a proof that Jupiter Capitolinum is in favour of our auspices for today. Yeah, that was a fact at one point as well, because unfortunately that's not a fucking fact though. It's a religious fucking fallacy. And that's what he's implying. This is fucking religion of social justice. Fucking nonsense. Fact. My fucking arse is a fact.
But you can see how it can be like very convincing to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really,
because
like
he's
it seems like
calm,
common sense when people talk about it.
Fuck.
But,
I'm going to be honest with you. I may be a data outlier on this, but just because someone speaks calmly doesn't make their argument more convincing to me.
Of course not.
Not to you, but to the average viewer. I don't
Well,
know
that's
how
not-
else
that's
to
not-
put
that's
that.
not-
That doesn't
that's not really-
sound really me.
That's
Well
not really what I
done
mean,
for
because
patronising.
you can explain it simply, because you can explain it simply, and it seems like it's an obvious thing to the listener. You know that. Oh, hey,
so
look,
it's
you
an
have.
appeal to common sense.
Yeah, it is, except that
Oof.
common sense oftentimes fails us. So what I mean is this: like, okay, look, you're black, you're a woman, you're short, you're overweight, you're handicapped. You got made fun of for each of those things specifically, and so you as a person experience multiple different types of discrimination. Like all of it, when you speak it to a person, it makes complete sense to them.
Mhm.
You can't.
Until they
It
sit
doesn't
down
matter
and
to
think
them if
about
you
it.
can justify it as a proper methodology at arriving at useful statistics or whatnot.
No.
It sells to the listener. It sells to the listener individually.
Yeah.
That's why it's effective.
Well,
And,
No, you're absolutely right. And welcome back, Carpo. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And also Richard Carrier for a bit there, like before he managed to make himself look like the reasonable one, until he keeps backtracking on some shit.
Oh,
Like, it's a
doesn't he?
fringe, it's a fringe representation of the ideology, and Sargon will be like, no, it's not. It's widespread as fuck. And Richard Carrier will be like, yeah, you're right. It's widespread as fuck. And I was like, you're damaging your own credibility here, buddy.
Yeah, he's
certainly.
Yeah, by acting what he says is fact until someone disagrees with him.
Yeah, but he's selling a version. He's selling a version of intersectionality and social justice and all that stuff that's entirely divorced from how people have experienced it from social justice warriors.
Yeah.
And it's clever. And maybe there is a conversation for something like that, you know, but he's not doing a good job at demonstrating it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and poor Sargon, he's not good in. Well, mind you, I would have gone completely potty at Carrier for saying that shit and made myself look worse.
Sargon was not being generous. That's obviously the case. I think he's more than anything, he's just not being generous. He's not being like, okay, well, let's hear you out. Let's explore your idea. He's saying like, no, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
Just not holding back.
I mean, he's right,
Yeah.
but it's. I think he's using the wrong argument. He's hitting him with a
Yes.
stick rather than going, here you go, have some more rope. There you go. Have you got enough to hang yourself with
Exactly.
yet? Yeah, because that's the way
Exactly.
you got to play
He
this guy. This guy's slippy as a
Yeah.
fucker.
Well, you
should've
can
let
understand
him-
why he's doing that. It's because he's heard this argument so many times, he's lost all patience.
Yes,
I'm not saying
yes, I
it's
get that.
right, but I mean,
get
we've all
that.
been there.
Yeah, but the trick is to become better at tolerating this shit, not just giving in to your impatience.
Yeah.
That was quite a Yoda statement.
Quite.
No, that's what Jordan Peterson is doing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a wise nigga. All right, let's just.
Yeah, I will give you that, dude. You've
Yeah.
YouTube, please. He's allowed to say that.
yeah.
He is
Yeah.
of
please.
descent.
What are you gonna do? Ban me? That would be racist.
No.
You racist
Yeah, it would
motherfuckers.
be racist to ban you. You're absolutely
I'm
right.
black
You
as a
are,
motherfucker.
marginalized. Seriously marginalized at the moment. I mean, Jesus Christ, over where you are, it's you know.
I'm marginalized by
some
YouTube.
scary fucking shit over there.
Right. Anyway, shall we
I don't
continue?
know what's scary.
Back to the news.
Yeah, back to the news.
Back to the news, indeed.
That is pretty scary.
Gone at this point.
Well, that's exactly my problem. I honestly
What
think
is your
that-
problem?
I'm
That
telling
I
you,
acknowledge scientific
if
facts?
If you stop interrupting me, I
Okay.
will let you know, right?
So-
So the problem is every ideology has a specific set of, I guess we'll call them principles, first principles,
Sure.
that give people a lens by which they view the world. And this lens effectively colors things and picks out, highlights certain things about certain people. And that's how we recognize that someone is operating using one of these lenses. When they start talking about certain things, often
Okay.
using particular language. Right?
Connect this to what we're talking about. What's the relevance
Okay,
here?
well, this is the relevance, right? The problem with this is that this means that anything that we do, and this is where the postmodernists are right, everything we do is ideological to a degree, right? So
Sure.
the question is, which ideology do we allow to have hegemony over our spaces? Now, intersectional social justice, when that's come into a space and it's been very aggressive, it's been very hegemonic, and this happened everywhere. It's happened in comics, it's happened in video games, it's happened in the furry community, it's happened in movies, in Hollywood, it's happened in academia, it's happening in my government right now, it's happening everywhere. When this ideology is given control, everyone suffers, apart from the small pool of activists who effectively act like the bloody Bolsheviks. Okay, this is the problem. Now, no, you're not defending that. You're not defending
No,
that.
yeah.
Right, so we can both recognize this happening. I mean, surely everyone sees this. Right.
Yeah, but the only thing that's weird about that, and regardless of the semantics of it, what you
Quick,
want to
weasel
call it,
out to this. Watch
that
this.
all happens. And I think it's completely legitimate to criticize it.
Right.
The only problem I have is when the criticism becomes, well, let's just throw all the real problems under the bus, forget about the problems, there's no way to solve them, let's not talk about how to solve them.
Okay.
Baby out of the bathwater.
Yeah, he made that argument somewhere earlier in this as well,
Yeah,
didn't
he
he?
did. He essentially said, because you're too busy trying to get rid of the social justice warriors, you're not focused on the real problems. Well, the problem is social justice warriors are causing more problems.
Yeah.
They're causing problems that are a lot more identifiable now, rather than long term. So we're trying to solve that first and foremost, because they're people, they're current, and they will cause even more problems than they've already have. You end up just ignoring other problems because they're not current. And it's not that you don't care about these problems, it's just that someone's telling you you're a fucking racist bigot. And that annoys you,
It's
unsurprisingly. So yeah, that would be why other problems get thrown under the bus.
it's
Because
the
we're being thrown under the bus.
yes, I accept that it's taking over academia and the media, and it's coming into the government, and I accept that that's all terrible. But aren't we throwing the bait? It's
Why don't you focus on the real issues?
yeah, there's some fucking babies in there. Yeah, absolutely, sure, okay. This bathwater is seriously fucking poisonous. Maybe we need to take those babies out of that bathwater. Let's get a colander and fucking find where the babies are, because I'm not even sure we've actually got very many babies in this bathwater.
Well, this one over here is actually a mouse.
I am so disturbed by this metaphor.
It is a bit weird.
Well, the questions
That one
earlier
over there is not a
weren't
baby
at all.
either, it's a dog.
But yeah, it's.
Shall we move on?
Let's move on. Let's
Yes.
move on.
Let's go.
Because we need to move on, because there's really good hot takes later on as well, which
Yeah.
just gets better.
During the Q&A, yeah.
Okay, but everywhere else, like the places that we operate, we're encountering these people. Now, I know, and again, I'm not trying to, say...
You're talking about atheism, for example, the atheism community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's been done to every community.
No, I agree. It's a problem.
And I know you agree. So at this point, really, what we I guess we can have is an abstract conversation about the nature of intersectionality. But you don't believe in that.
What do you mean don't believe it? I don't adhere to this ideology they're talking about.
Yeah.
But the word intersectionality doesn't refer to that ideology. You're
Yes, it
using
does.
the word...
No, it absolutely does. That's the term they chose for themselves.
Okay, no, they don't call themselves intersectionality. That's
They
an
call themselves
abstract noun.
intersectional feminists. They are furious
Yeah,
about the TERFs who are not intersectional.
Oh my God, this is
Don't
affirming the
lie, man.
consequent again. You're saying that just because these these extremists call themselves intersectional feminists, therefore all intersectional feminists are the extreme ideology.
No true
I've realised
spokesmen.
this is most comparable to like the Muslim debate.
Oh, are we gonna say ISIS doesn't represent Islam?
All Muslims.
Is something that it runs through your head, isn't it? It's yes, these are
Jesus
the
Christ.
extremist versions of one thing. I didn't want to go there, to be honest, but
I think we should save that for a future one.
it's
No, but you think you hit the nail on the head there. That's apologia is what this guy's doing.
Yeah, it's entirely apologetic.
But another thing.
What?
fuck, I forgot. Sorry.
I agree with that almost entirely.
Oh, poor Carp.
Something about this.
Carpo,
love,
never
something about
change.
this love. Ah, fuck it. Let's keep going.
All right.
That's affirming the consequence. It's a standard
No,
fallacy of logic.
that's allowing them to define their own ideology. Let them do it. They are happy to
Stop.
declare that they are intersectional. And
Wow,
then
you
attack.
didn't.
You can pause
You can
yourself.
stop it
Yeah,
yourself.
affirming the consequent. That's that shit.
Yeah,
That's that shit. That's that apologia shit. The moment they start bringing up fucking fallacies and like redirecting you to the glossary of whatever book they picked it up from, that's apologetics.
Yes.
That's this guy. Don't fucking point out a fallacy on stage. All right, address it like a man.
I've actually got
Sorry,
a
that
note
really-
down
that gets on my
here.
tits.
I've got a note down here in my notes that are going. Carrier is trying to make Sargon look like he's tilting at windmills and assumptions, and yeah, he's this is it. He's basically he's going, oh well, that's a fallacy because of this, and
That's a
in
logical
doing
fallacy.
exactly, it's bullshit. He's not addressing the actual issue. He's as you say, it's apologetics, and yeah, he's pointing at a monster and going, that's just a windmill.
Sargon should have called him a cunt. How's
Yeah,
that for a logical fallacy?
yeah.
That's like what Richard Dawkins
Repeat
did
this.
to Deepak Chopra. That's not ad hominem, that's ad bullshit. Oh my god. I miss Richard Dawkins.
Oh, I haven't seen that debate in so long. That was so good. Because I know
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
so many people that are like, oh, Deepak Chopra, he's so fucking wonderful. And I was like, no, don't give me that shit.
That's not ad hominem. That's ad bullshitting. Okay, we should.
Fucking woo. Oh, I missed those debates. They were great. But
Yeah,
I'll
they're
tell you what,
classics.
No,
you're gonna have to strap yourself in a bit. I think we can. Should we jump forward a bit? There's an awful lot of bullshit in this
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Just jump to the hot takes. That's all we're here for at this
because
point.
there is if we get to about one.
There's one more thing I had here.
Okay, go on.
Okay,
adopts
this one
the
last thing.
ideology you just described.
Imagine
Yeah,
if
and
you
then
could
we go
find
on
a
to
few,
the
I'd say, well,
Q&A.
The searing takes.
There are
So this is
thousands of
definitional,
people-
too.
Yes, it's
No,
definitional.
There's
It's
thousands of people who are doing this work out there in the world and are not adopting
are
that
not
ideology.
really intersectional feminists. I agree.
Okay,
I
that's
agree with
just
you.
semantics. You're just
No,
playing tricks with
again,
words at
you're
this point.
talking about an ideology that is entirely based on the idea of semantics. Everything.
That's not even a
Okay,
relevant
stop.
point.
Right?
Okay.
Everything about social justice is about the redefinition of words. Define racism for me.
You just did it again. Oh my god. You just assume that all social justice advocates
don't
adopt that
care.
ideology. Oh my god.
Just answer the question, man.
Oh my God,
okay,
use that
ask the
fallacy
question
again.
Define racism.
You're just racist.
When there is discrimination against someone for their race, perceived race, skin
Look,
color.
you're not an intersectional social justice warrior. That's not the correct.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, of course.
No,
That's not.
Yeah, he's not. If you bring that definition forward, it's the opposite of the intersectional definition.
He's a reasonable
Wasn't
Muslim,
there
guys.
something about power plus
It's a
something
reasonable Muslim.
equals-
Privilege plus power.
and then you have to square it a few times.
Put some pie on there.
But we're going to get into the point now where Sargon and them start to discuss what they would do. And there's some
Let's go.
Let's go.
Right.
Banterous times are ahead.
Sounds fun.
Shall we let them finish here? 'Cause
Let's
the
see
definition of
steering
racism.
hot takes.
you
So.
you are picking a definition maybe used by some intersectional feminists, but you're actually
Hang on, no, okay, hang on, stop there.
No.
Maybe used by some of them. Maybe.
Let's not get in,
Maybe
let's not
used
get
by
bogged
some
down
of
in
them.
the
No,
percentages.
this is
The
important because
percentages
this
aren't relevant.
No, this is very important.
You're actually saying that by
Use the
definition,
words.
intersectional feminist adopts that ideology.
Say again,
Or
sorry. I didn't-
are you saying that it's analytical truth? This is an analytical proposition that it is a tautology. It is necessarily always logically the case that an intersectional feminist adopts that ideology.
I hope
Yes, I
this
think
guy
that an
dies.
intersectional feminist
sort
would
of
necessarily have to, for
Okay.
example,
So you're
hang
just-
on.
you're just
no, listen,
playing
no,
games
stop
with
interrupting
words.
and
Playing games with words. Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what philosophy is, right? So,
He's not completely wrong. But he's gonna be called out on that really badly.
Oh wow! That you look at Carrier. That is the most offensive thing he said to him so far.
Yeah.
He was
he's-
being all fucking smart and shit. It's like in an analytical framework. It's tautology. And it's like, shut your face. Shut your fat fucking face. You all do this.
Fucking
Yeah, no, it's
don't
it's
even
like
get me started on tautologies. Go on.
right, because
Define it in an analytical framework.
holy shit, it's the kind of shit you do hear from Muslim apologists. I hate to keep bringing that up.
Christian
Yeah.
apologists. Apologists in general. This motherfucker's an apologist. He's been doing okay. He's been doing okay, trying to come off as the reasonable one, and he's convincing in that sense. But maybe Sargon behaving this way is the right way.
Possibly. I don't know. Maybe.
I just imagine this like one of those fucking girls in the grooming gangs, and, you know, having been assaulted and then coming out, and a professor like this coming along. Well, did you want to check it's tautologically possible that all these Muslims are exactly the same? I didn't think so.
It's.
Shut the
Within
fuck
an
up.
analytical framework, everything about this man
Yeah.
screams that he hasn't been fucking outside in 15 years.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. If I
Everything
were doing
about
this
this
debate,
man.
Sargon gets more comfortable and more friendly towards him towards the end and starts off aggressive. I would have been completely the opposite by the end of this. By this point in this debate, I would have been trying to fucking rip him a new one. Yeah.
I think
No,
it
like-
comes around about 40, 50 minutes in, Sargon actually realises what he's dealing with and stops taking it seriously.
I don't know if he.
Yeah,
I know. I
but
don't think he
also-
does. I don't think if he's quite realised that this guy's. Yeah, as I say, this is false apologetics. This is slimy fucking shit.
If you're going to butt fuck somebody, you should be nice to them near the end.
Huh.
Okay, that's the general.
Wise words, Carp. My wise words.
let's
Right.
go.
That's fine.
God.
Yeah. So, and that's the problem. That's the ideology we're talking about. We've spent this whole time with you going, oh, that's not what I think intersectionality
I don't care what you
is.
call it. I don't care what you call it. Whether you want to call it power or something else, discrimination exists. People are affected by it.
Yeah, but we're
We
not
should care
talking
about
about
that
that.
and do something about it.
I don't think you get to tell me what I should and shouldn't care about.
Okay, now, by saying that, are you telling me that you don't care about these issues?
No, I'm telling you that you don't get to tell me what I should
That's
care about.
fine. That's fine.
Then don't tell me I should care about it.
I want
They're about to sort of go on about what they should and shouldn't care about, and they've skipped the whole thing with social justice is, oh, we've noticed an imbalance and an unfairness over here, let's address it, and we'll address it by weighting the system towards them. Nobody throughout this fucking hour so far has considered applying a set of fucking rights that are equal to everyone, regardless of all the fucking different genders, colours, skin. I don't care if they want 7,000 genders. Fine, they all get the same rights. Fuck off. Done. Yeah. That's special
Yeah,
rights
you're
for
right.
special fuckers. Fuck off. Oh, I'm you know, this, that, and the other, and I've got a sore toe, and I've got three this, that. I don't fucking care.
But Trig.
Yeah?
Why won't you think of the children?
Yeah, this is it. I mean, it was the classic sort of, you know, lesbian single parent mother thing has been a meme since the fucking forever with regards to social security.
Let me do a refresh on mine. That might be.
Oh, it's back.
It's back?
It's back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he's back.
I'm not back. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
back now.
this whole judging people by yes, people have, you know, okay, this someone's got kids, therefore more benefits, etc. Yeah, fine, absolutely right. But this whole fucking weighting society depending on their standing in a fucking justice progressive stack bullshit. Fuck that. Everyone stands right at the same point, at the bottom, equally shitty, basically. And you make your way up from there.
Even if you go by that oppression stack thing, you can order that stack very easily, depending whatever circumstances you pick to choose, to put anyone at the top or bottom.
Oh yeah, precisely. If you run in the stack, you fucking run in the stack.
It runs entirely contradictory to anti-discriminatory principles because they are applying
discrimination.
Well, actually, if they have averages to begin with, then they would be applying averages to individuals. Because you are black, because you are handicapped, because you are all these things, you must have experienced this amount of suffering, therefore must be compensated. Like, you see how that works?
Yeah.
It's not
This is
even
why-
mathematical.
This is why they come up with phrases such as positive discrimination.
Fucking-
Yeah.
They find that the words that we all use,
Yeah.
after they twist the meaning of them, no longer fit the situation, and they have
It's
to
not,
create.
Ezekiel, it's not a sustainable ideology for mostly because it's they're trying to implement policies in an engineering kind of way, but your engineering principles are garbage. They're not even
Of course.
quantified. It
But
is,
even if they
this
weren't,
is-
even if they
Yeah.
weren't, there's the fundamental fact that you've got a group of people who refuse to treat people as people, and when you start fighting against human nature, things fall apart.
the problem is this is an act of, I know exactly what you mean, but this is an act of human nature. I think we are trying to simplify things so that we are not insane.
Yeah.
And we are insecure and paranoid about
Oh, certainly, yeah.
being
I mean, it's
betrayed
part of,
by our fellow citizen over something that is integral to who we are. I can understand their paranoia now. I can understand their insecurity. I can understand their fear.
Well,
They're-
I agree with you. I mean, it certainly is. It's part of human nature to want to quantify and organize things, even if it's just in our minds, so that we can understand the world around us.
Yes, exactly. And since it is based on fear, they'll convince themselves that they have tools that work. They just want. I don't think they honestly believe that they can eradicate racism or insert anything ism here. They just want it kept in check.
I actually think
No,
that,
I
that
think
some of them
completely
do
wrong.
believe that they
I
can.
think, yeah, I do believe that some of them genuinely
All
believe
right.
Oh,
that
Sure.
racism is so.
Sure.
No, Carper. I'm gonna throw an anecdotal experience from my childhood, which
There you
is going back a bit. This is
Self-doxing will commence.
this is 80s fucking schooling shit. And I remember sitting in a geography class and being told by my geography teacher that if everybody that was white married someone that was black and vice versa, and that they all had light brown children, that the world's racism problems would be over within a 2-3 generations. Be easy as that, and there would be no such thing as racism because everyone would be the same thing. Now that was bullshit being thrown at kids in the
Yeah, my
80s.
friend, Europe was all white for millennia, and they fucking murdered each other up until
I was
the
going to say,
20th
yeah,
century.
it's not about the colour of the skin. It's literally Europe,
Yeah,
especially. We're fighty fuckers. Everybody's fighty
Yeah.
fuckers. The Zulus have fucking
Yeah.
murdered the way up and down Africa.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like even if you're in a city, your city will be split in half, and you'll be competing.
Oh yeah,
Even
especially if
you
there's
are-
two
Yeah,
football
it's
teams
not
in
a
that
race
city.
issue.
Yeah,
It's never a race issue. It's a
Well,
tribal issue.
well, race plays into tribalism.
Well,
But,
yeah, it makes it easier for us to determine us and them. but
yeah. When it's
No,
relevant.
I would rather than use anecdotal. I'd rather the principles of the social justice community is that people are born blank slates.
Yeah.
This includes men, women, all races, all genders, everything. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're born. They believe you're a blank slate, and your experiences are what make you you. Essentially, what make you do the things you do and think the things you think. And they believe that they can eradicate racism and sexism by bringing everyone up to a standard of their belief that will
This is why
eradicate
we can
these
all
things.
run as fast as Usain Bolt. Just saying.
Fucking presumption of being a blank slate is so terrifying.
Isn't it just?
Yes,
in terms of introspection.
Tabula rasa. Who am I? Where am I from? Etc. are questions that everybody asks themselves, and they look to their own history. Sorry, what?
If you truly believe that everything that you are is a result of environment, and said environment is engineered by tyrannical forces, whether it's the patriarchy or whatever the fuck, right? Then that you'll never be able to understand yourself.
Quite.
You'll never be able to make peace with some aspects of your personality that is innate, or possibly cannot be changed, or it somehow feels intrinsic to you, because who knows where it comes from? Perhaps your genes, perhaps your diet, even growing up. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to sort of make peace with some aspects of yourself that are beyond anybody's control.
We are all
But
a
I
product of both environment and genetics. And if you don't appreciate, acknowledge both parts of those, you're not going to be complete. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, certainly,
I think-
I'm different because of my environment than me being born 100 years ago. Fuck yeah.
But here's the thing. Like, okay, some people will be skeptical about this idea because, okay, well, not every woman is like a woman, you
Sure.
know? And I'm like, okay, yeah, but that's not to say that that in itself cannot be of some innate property. And it just so happens that you just fall out of the norm.
Mhm.
That's a more comforting idea, in my opinion.
Oh, who wants to be part of the norm anyway?
I mean,
some respects.
it has its pros. Trust me.
No, I
That's-
think
that's good.
the reason why all of these things like blank slate and similar are so appealing to many is because not many people, especially in this day and age, are taught or discover the power of self-introspection.
Well, possibly.
So
I mean,
everyone's desperately looking around for a definition of what they are without being able to look inside themselves and see they are who they are.
that self-introspection and that type of thing is something that comes to most people if it's within them to do that type of thing anyway, and it's sort of usually a mid to late 20s kind of thing.
I'd say it's going up in the ages.
Yeah. So perhaps, but we're getting a little off topic, and bringing it back to Mythcon. I know what's about to happen, and Sargon is going to make one of a few hot takes where I'm going to have to really, really disagree with Sargon on something. I don't usually do this.
Go for it.
I've found him to be mostly agreeable on a large part in his
Go for
history,
it,
but
dude.
this is a
Smack
hot
his
take.
ass.
Sure.
So men have a hugely higher suicide rate than women do. And so I do agree that men as an identity have an issue there that we should care about and work to solve.
So would you describe yourself as a men's rights activist?
Well, see, the thing is,
Cute.
what happens with that term, and this is exactly what the left does, and I used to do this too, so I apologize for having done it in the past, is assuming that that label refers to everybody who's advocating for these ideas, right? Because people have this idea of an MRA in their head.
Again,
They have this sort of weird bugbear in their head of this
They
sort of
do.
extremist MRA, right?
I wonder where that came from.
Didn't this
Right.
argument just
No,
happen
I agree. This
on
is
the
problem.
other way around earlier?
And I'm not on that train anymore. And
Anymore.
yeah, because I was naive about the use of the terminology. Great. Now there are.
No, come on.
Yeah. No, there
Just
are.
walked back his own activism.
There are MRAs who are bad actors, just as there are SJWs who are bad actors. They have really bad ideas or wrong facts and so on. This is a truth. But there are legitimate men's rights issues, and there are legitimate organizations that work for them. You have like the Movember movement, for example. And so yes, I think that is a legitimate example. And I think it would be.
Movember's a cool
You know,
thing,
I
by
think
the way.
I would
Everyone
consider
should
it a logical
grow a
trick,
stash
basically,
for
if an
November.
SJW would say, well, you're just an MRA then, and then attribute to me all the other bad ideas that they attribute to MRAs, when in fact that's not the case. I don't share
They're
those.
using it as a smear, aren't they?
Correct, but they use it as a smear because they assume that if you have one particular view, that you share all the other views, right?
I don't think that's the reason. I think that they're using it as a smear because what they see as men are the oppressive group in society. They believe that, they believe that men hold the
Just gonna
reins of
jump
power in
ahead
society.
slightly, 'cause this
And they think.
Oh, no.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, Movember isn't exactly for me. I've got too much soy.
Yeah.
I
you-
can't
you-
grow it fast enough.
You'll get that.
For
but
me, every day is Movember.
right here, they start to discuss about yeah.
Not hire them.
Yes, I don't
Oh,
hire Nazis.
Okay,
And I wouldn't hire feminists.
We've shot.
Go back a bit.
Yeah, we've overshot slightly.
Justice that I think.
Okay,
is
but
using.
that doesn't address the ideological problem of feminists who don't think that way.
Right. So.
So you can't address any of these problems.
So how do we address them?
We have to essentially do what we would do with the alt-right. How do we address the alt-right?
You tell me what you would do about the alt-right.
Well, I would just not hire them.
Oh God.
Not hire them.
Yes, I don't hire Nazis.
Okay, but
And I wouldn't hire feminists.
but how is that going to get rid of the alt-right? Like you personally,
It's going to remove their
how many people do you
institutional
employ?
Okay.
That's a dangerous.
I
slope.
can't believe Sargon's advocating for not hiring people based on their political ideology. That's actually against the law in England. You literally cannot discriminate on someone based on party affiliations and political leanings. That's so anti-liberty. It's untrue, Sargon. What the fuck are you doing saying those words? I hope that's some sort of meta level troll, but he doesn't seem to walk it back. And
And he gets applause for it, which is even worse.
Oh dear. Yeah. I'm.
He's basically just said unperson people you don't like.
Let's continue it a little longer because he says something else that.
Like you don't employ that many people yourself. So
You don't know that.
so how,
I have a channel with 800,000
practical
people.
plan. You said there's got to be like how you get there is important.
Yeah.
How do we affect this plan of yours? is
Yeah,
what I'm
we
asking.
don't hire feminists.
Who's we?
Anyone who's in a position to hire someone. It becomes a social taboo. In
I
the
see
same
what
way
you're
as
saying.
hiring Nazis.
Isn't
I see.
it kind of witch hunting though? I mean, how do you
this
even
seems-
figure this out through applications?
Good
through-
question.
Yeah,
I guess
no,
you can look at
this
their
seems to
timeline on
be-
Twitter.
Yeah.
Like
I don't-
Sargon, no!
Sargon literally became the one thing he was committed to destroying.
Buddy,
Sargon and
no!
Richard
Why? Why did you say
It's
those
to
words?
bring balance to the force, not destroy it.
It's just depressing.
I can't believe I heard him say that, especially after the things that have been said in this.
Right. I'm not. So it's not just me being like, oh, he doesn't
No.
fit my ideological.
No, I'm
That was.
sorry. We've got a guy here who says free speech is the most important thing, and I'm a free speech absolutist and all this stuff. And then he goes and says, yeah, but if you say stuff I don't like, I'm not going to hire you. I'm going to unperson you. Intent doesn't matter. There's another one you can pick out of that.
More importantly, he's not willing to hire feminists, which make up, admittedly, not a great portion of people, but a large enough portion that will actually have an effect on the population.
Do you remember our last stream? We were looking at the fake essays that were published.
Yeah.
And one of them was replacing Jews with in Mein Kampf
with white people and men, yeah.
So, I'm just going to say, well, we could take what Sargon says and replace feminist with Jew.
Yeah, with anything, it's the whole
I hope he walks this back at some point.
Oh,
That
fucking
is-
god damn it. Yeah, I didn't like that bit. I felt
He
somewhat.
just crucified himself.
Well, no, it's one hot take, and that takes a lot more than that to crucify yourself. But yeah, maybe it's not what I would do. It's not. Now, when he says social pariah, yeah, sure, okay, social advocacy that being horrible is horrible. Yeah, that's exactly what this whole thing is about. This is why people do YouTube and blogs about stuff that's pissing them off. That's cool, but not hiring people based on their ideology is so fucked. No.
The problem still lies in the social pariah side as well, though, because that can quickly turn into refusing to serve someone if they have the wrong opinion.
Well, yeah.
And that's the whole can of
I
worms.
don't know how you go down that route exactly, but yeah, that's that was I hope yeah. I'm gonna have to shake that idea off a little bit. I need whiskey.
I've got some if you want.
Yeah, I know you're a little bit far away. I do. Ooh, you know what? My good friend Johnny Walker is just over here. I think that will do in a pinch. Because I'm gonna need
I will join you.
Fucking hell, fine.
I wish I had something on me. All I've got is apple sours. Oh no.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've got nothing.
Sargon's. Wow. Okay. I'm not massive. Okay. Like I said, I think I've said this before to you guys. I could argue with Sargon on a number of things that
Yeah.
he and I don't agree with, but
Beard wars confirmed.
Yay.
now let's jump ahead because there's some more hot. Well, in fact, we don't need to jump ahead. They're only a couple of minutes in, but we'll just let Sargon explain himself a bit.
Everyone does. If they're screaming,
But
white men are the
strap
problem,
yourself in for some
no,
more.
I don't
again,
see
I'm not
any
even saying
practical way to implement that plan.
Well, how do we
don't.
keep Nazis out of our institutions?
No one's in disagreement with
Same
that
method
shit.
for feminists.
But it doesn't work because no one's.
It doesn't work.
Well, no one goes around wearing swastikas on their heads. So how are you going to identify
And it's
these?
amazing how many Nazis they find, though, isn't it?
So here's the problem. Like, well, yeah, they weren't. So this gets to the whole issue of that's why that would be bad, because not all feminists are adopting the ideology they're talking about. So, just like not all people who get called Nazis are actual Nazis, right?
Okay.
You will acknowledge the discrimination is there.
So no, we're not going back to talking about discrimination, Richard. We've passed this. So let's focus on what should be, right? We can all agree that moral busybodies who collectivize people and think that the world is based on two categories, oppressed and oppressor, and that the oppressed, whoever perceives themselves that way, are righteous when they hate their oppressor. That's a bad way to run the world.
I agree.
Great.
And there are tons of people who do social justice activism who repudiate that.
You don't have to defend anything.
They repudiate
You don't
that
have
view.
to defend anything.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't think that you're one of those people.
Yeah, no, I get it, but there are lots more people who are doing this too, who are in
But
the same position
you
as me.
spoke in defense of identity politics, and that's the consequence of identity politics: a hatred of another group.
It is not.
Yes, it is.
No, you have to.
Yes, it is.
You have to
It also
add an
validates the
additional-
alt-right. They're completely correct.
No,
if
you have to
think
add an
that's right.
additional ideology to get hate out of that.
No, you don't. You just have
No.
to. No, it breeds resentment.
No.
It absolutely does.
No, there's tons.
Yes, it does.
There's tons
You
of
haven't
science
even
on
thought
this.
about what I've said.
No, there's actually tons of science on this. It's only the particular way you go about doing things. It's not acknowledging the facts themselves that leads to hate.
Obviously, but this is the problem. It's
Apologetics
the
and
way of going about things
obscurantism.
is breeding
Can
resentment.
I re-slightly
Great.
add-
How do we
there's
solve that
tons
problem?
of science
We don't do
on this.
identity politics.
Feel free. There's tons of
Which
sociology.
discipline of science is that?
That would be sociology, which uses
Yeah.
like 20 or 30 fucking data points and calls it a study.
Wait, that's not a fair assessment because they also do special filters on the line of best fit,
Yeah,
which
and
I use the term very loosely.
they do use more than 20, but yeah, no, I've seen some studies, and some of those lines of best fit are. Oh yeah,
Questionable.
just yeah.
Occasionally vertical.
Try doing real maths and real sort of science on that, and they'll go, "Where's the rest of your data?" This could be a fucking outlier as far as I'm concerned. That bit over there, that 1 point, could be the real thing. In thousands and thousands of data. Sociology can bollocks. But anyway,
Yeah, right.
grin through my teeth. What? Shall we carry on?
Identity politics is bad.
We have to.
No, we don't.
We can't address, for example, racist bias in incarceration if we're not going to even acknowledge that there are races that are being biased.
Yeah, but
against
I
us.
don't even necessarily agree with you on this point. Again, all of this is interpreted. So the question is,
Hold on. You have to have identity politics if you're going to address racism, bias in incarceration, etc.
Yeah, that's got nothing to do with
gonna say-
identity.
Yeah, no. He's right. He's right. If you want to find racism everywhere, you have to apply identity politics. If you want to find class difference everywhere, you have to apply a class lens system on it. Yeah. If you want to identify a poverty versus wealth-based system, you have to apply a financial-based system of looking a lens of looking at the situation. So for him to have his racism everywhere, he's got to have his identity politics. You cannot have one without the other.
It's not quite what he said, though.
No, I know. We're dissecting what he says. Let's go back to if you want, but it's not far off.
It sounds to me like he was saying that you can't deal with the fact that there are more of a certain race in prison without identity politics. But identity politics doesn't address or identify it. It just says that this intersection, that so and so, blah blah blah.
It's taking a whole chunk of data and applying a filter to that data. Yeah, are we going to look at it via race? Oh look, it fits, but that it may fit the same correlation. It may have better correlation through class or through various other things. Fatherlessness, for example.
And this is the thing that really kind of bugs me when I was listening through this earlier. Is at the start he was going on correlation, causation is a fallacy, and now he's doing it right here.
A little. Yeah, like I said, that they have to have identity politics so that they can have the racism.
They can have solutions.
I strongly think it's a better idea to look at the individual data and have a huge number of fucking filters you can throw at it to find the correlations rather than just having the one and going, look, it all fits into this. Because you're not addressing all the fucking, dare I say it, nuances of the problem.
Part of the problem is he keeps saying how people are being discriminated against because they're being grouped in. Well, what about, in this example, black incrimination? What about the police officers who get grouped in?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you start talking about, the entire black race is, within America being discriminated against by the police, what about the people within the police who aren't doing that?
Yeah, and with regards, they're going to bring this up in just a couple of minutes, and so I won't foreshadow it too much. But when a police officer is dealing with criminals day in day out, say 60-70% of their working day, I would imagine, will be dealing with criminals, and the other 30 to 40% will be filling out reports about criminals. They'll start recognizing trends on an almost an unconscious basis as to who is and isn't committing crimes. Now, a guy that's living out in a completely white area will be looking for various things. People will become tuned in, and because they're going to talk about why black people are more often pulled over and arrested. It's a matter
You're
of
talking about the prediction engine that is our brain, basically.
exactly. Whether you can unwire that, whether we should unwire that, and go, oh no, we can't do that. That's racist. I think we're going to end up causing problems.
I think that's a very dangerous path to tread because.
Well, I think we in England, and after seeing certain things like that exact thing happening with regards to Rotherham and so on, you run some very grave risks of harming the community.
Agreed.
But anyway, let's jump forward.
Incarceration, if we're not going to even acknowledge that there are races that are being biased.
Yeah, but I don't even necessarily agree with you on this point. Again, all of this is interpretive. So the question is, in the procedure, where is the racism? Like, for example,
there are studies trying to figure that out.
Listen, right? In Baltimore, black person commits crime, cop comes along, black cop comes along, shoots them, gets done by a black chief of police, ends up in front of a black judge. SJWs cry white privilege, racism. What's going on? It doesn't make sense, right? The procedure isn't necessarily the problem.
Well, that may be the case, but that's an evidence-based question. You go in, you figure this stuff out. There are people working on this, like the Open Policing Project is an
Exactly, but the point is, there was nothing wrong with the procedure.
No, I'm saying whether that is the case. Like, we don't know that's the case. You're just sitting there assuming that that's
the case.
No,
I'm assuming it's not racism.
Well, no, racism is a statistical effect, so you can't pick a single instance.
Racism is an opinion.
It's a statistical phenomenon of reality. There is actual bias.
Hold on. Racism is a statistical phenomenon. It's not a personal thing now.
It's not subjective according to him. It's imperative.
Oh, God. That does not bode well for society, does it?
Well, yeah, it means if there was no humans around, there would still be racism by his definition.
Yeah.
Don't know how that works, but
Who knows?
I seem to have lost Carpo. He's passed out.
He's away and barely conscious.
It's I hate he's and he says it with a big fat smile on his face there, and Sargon's pointing at him with a big smile. I hope Sargon's about to fucking lay him to waste for that statement, because
I wouldn't be surprised if he's left speechless. I mean, how do you respond to someone who believes that?
they're done. They're not even questioning whether it's a thing anymore.
At that point, you're almost saying that this guy, what's his name, Richard, right? Richard Carrier, is racist and can't do anything ever to do anything about it.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those guys that accepts that he's white and therefore racist. I bet you.
He has no free will.
No.
And you can't ever debate someone who has no free will.
Richard Carrier, NPC, discuss.
Oh God!
Oh, here we go. Someone fetch for Jess.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
We're not going down the NPC one. That's I've said before. That ideology scares the crap out of me. Anyway.
In terms of like more, so for example, black people are pulled over multiple times more than white people are. That's a statistical fact. That's not ideology.
You don't know that's because of race.
What's that?
You don't know that's because of race.
It's because of the mental heuristics of the cops.
How could
Being
it not
pulled
be because of
over
race?
Prove it.
Is the definition of racism.
Prove
now.
it. What? Prove it's because of race.
Okay, so we know, so black people are pulled over multiple times more often than white people, yet when they are pulled over, they are found to have contraband less often.
John?
Okay, so how else would be the explanation? You can't say that the black people were more criminal than the white people. So what?
Maybe they're just better at hiding their drugs. I don't know.
So
Yeah, it could be.
More at a time.
Maybe they do crimes other than carrying contraband.
Yeah.
There's so many freaking details in that question. I don't know.
Yeah. What if, like, every time you pull over, like, I don't know, some fucking middle class white kid, he always has a little bit of weed on him.
Yeah.
You always give him like a fine or something, and you stop, I don't know, 10 black people, and only one of them has drugs, but the entire car is just cocaine.
I have a little anecdote that's relevant here.
Go on.
Go for it.
This is years back when, not long after I think there was some minor terrorist attack in London, and everyone, as they were leaving the train station, the police were basically randomly checking.
Was it the Irish or was it others? Was it a terrorist attack of peace?
This was post 2000, but before 2006.
7/7.
So
before 7/7.
So I don't. Who did that then?
I can't remember.
A peaceful attack or whatever?
Getting off of this, basically, police doing random stop checks as people came out of the underground at one of the London stations in Zone 1, right? And so you got your queue because it's rush hour, go through the barriers, and I was watching the police thinking, oh, what are they doing? Because I'm not used to seeing police do random stop checks. And the 3 guys in front of me were of a certain ethnicity, racial descent, shall we say.
Sure.
Police looked at them and slightly shook their heads, waited till they passed, and then stopped me and did a stop check on my bag.
Yep.
Well, tell me, was that race motivated, perhaps?
No, but if they were looking for a if you know a terrorist attack or a thing is being done by a certain, you've got to operate on the fact that the police may well know an awful lot more than we do about the identity of criminals in a situation. And so they will know if they get a description of look for people, say, from a Middle Eastern background, and they see a bunch of black kids in front of you, yeah, they are going to let those people through. But because Middle Eastern descent means Caucasian and potentially white or owns a beard, say, they could pull over anyone.
However, with hindsight, you can go back and look at this now. And it's like the police were being told don't stop too many black people. You don't want to appear racist.
That's also a possibility. But
Don't know if I have hindsight on
I was
that.
going to say that as an anecdote, I don't know. I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, with regards to the police, in most cases, unless there is political and loud political stuff going off, the police do a bloody good job, to be perfectly honest, on the whole. Yeah,
When they're allowed to do their job, yes.
Yeah. There are.
Don't get me wrong. Got a lot of respect for anyone that steps up to a job like that.
Yeah, there are all manner of difficulties in doing and being a police officer, and the amount of horrors they must have to experience, especially the traffic cops and stuff like that. You know, they keep society moving along quite nicely and keep us safe in our beds, etc. So I don't want to bag on the police too much, but yeah. With regards to this stop and search and stuff like that, you're dealing with, as I said, mental heuristics was a phrase that was thrown at me earlier by someone, and they are used to dealing with certain people being more likely to be criminals, and therefore they are going to, I hope they are going to be particularly careful around, and coppers have had, I've got a hunch, how many times have you heard a copper has had a hunch about a person and investigates them and so on. It's fucking TV dramas are made of that shit. You're not supposed to be able to have hunches these days. That's, it's, I don't know.
That's against human nature, sure.
Welcome back, Copper. Yes.
Hi.
Shall we crack on? Because I know we're about to come right into Sargon hot take territory again.
Go for it.
Let's do it.
How else would it have an
This
effect?
is the ideological cage that they're talking about.
But are you talking about is this random chance that this is a statistical anomaly?
It's more likely that black people are poor, and police pull poor people over more often than white than middle class people.
Not enough to explain. This is actually accounted for in the studies. This is it's not enough to explain that.
Again, but you don't know that it's race. This is the God of the gaps argument applied to racism.
Well, even if, let's say that's the case, and we don't have the science to prove that, the science looks the other way, it actually looks to be sending the other way in that. But let's assume that's the case.
That I've seen
now we have a
people are
social
less
justice
likely
issue
to
of
shop.
poverty, where now we're saying the poor are pulled over more.
Yeah. Okay, why are black people poor?
Well, no. Well, let's just go right to poverty. Now, okay, you've now claimed that poverty is the issue, not race.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So now we've got a social justice issue that we can agree on and we can work on.
Why are black people poor?
Well, that's a whole other discussion.
I think it's actually quite easily explainable.
Well, are you going to cite scientific papers that study and confirm it? Okay.
Well, I'm going to cite books by academics.
Okay. Oh, yes. Give me a book title.
Sure. Wealth, Poverty, and Politics.
Okay. And that has scientific studies in it that's cited?
Oh, yeah. So one of the top economists.
Okay. I'll look into that. So maybe I'll do a blog on it.
Have you never heard of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I know Equality Science. That's the book that I go to because that's the leading book on.
Okay, that's great. So we can actually talk about the reasons that this happens, right? So the problem, I think, all comes down to fatherlessness in black communities.
It's not quite there yet.
Oh, you're talking about poverty, right? I get you.
Yeah. But no, not just poverty. But that's one major contributing factor to poverty. And then suddenly you have a whole host of other factors. And Demetrius just arrived.
I tried running out faster. It was a perfect stopping point, and I had.
All right.
But just to finish this one up.
Yeah.
You
can't just assert that, right? Like that's a factor for sure.
No. Listen.
But we can distinguish these factors.
No. Listen. I can just assert that because we have the data.
Correct.
And we actually have the data of what a married household's income looks like in the black community, and a married household's income, what that looks like in the white community, and the respective incomes for single-parent households.
Right.
We can map the poverty, why the black community is in poverty. We can map that.
What is the correlation coefficient? What's the correlation factor?
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, but it's not going to be 1.
Well, I don't know, but it's very high.
Well, okay.
But it's logically necessary.
But that means that is a component of the problem, right? There may be other components.
Yeah, there might be, but it's a major component.
Well,
single-parent households.
If we've got the evidence, that's something we can talk about evidence-wise, and that's what I think. If like legitimate social justice would actually talk about these things.
But the problem is the interpretive problem, right? So as soon as you say, right, okay, black people aren't getting married, black women are having children out of wedlock, right? This creates deeply unhealthy communities. Young men need father figures, they need leadership, they need, guidance in their lives. It's very difficult for a single woman to do this, and it's not because they're bad people or bad parents or anything like that. Children are just difficult, right? So if you have a community where they have something like 72% single-parent households, that's a crime factory.
I agree. That's
crime factory.
And Richard Carrier agrees, and no one even says a fucking word about this. Look, I will carry on for a few seconds, and no one will say a word.
It's a problem.
Yes, it's a major problem. But racism didn't cause that.
Okay.
I think something flew over my head there.
Well,
single black family is a crime factory.
Lamau.
That's a bit of a hot take there from Sargon.
Just a bit.
Not as much as the last one.
No, yeah, it may be.
I mean, it's not untrue. It's just the way he says it.
Yeah,
he's very blunt.
It's okay. He's going to say something else that's quite blunt as well, which is I was like, and it didn't seem to get the ooh I was expecting as well. So let's carry on.
And let's just assume that's the case in every case, and it's not. But let's assume that it is. Now we're back to the issue of social justice, poverty, and child care, right?
Okay, wait, pause there. Because the people who then say, oh, this is a problem, think that racism caused that.
Wait. Oh, caused which problem now?
The poverty and crime.
It's a contributing factor.
I don't know if we know that.
I don't think people say that it's...
If anything, it seems that racism was a causal factor in reducing the crime and poverty in the black community. If you look at graphs, you can see over time that after the introduction of what was the big society, LBJ's big society, where the welfare state was instituted, the destruction of the black family follows almost immediately. And then 10, 15 years later, the crime rates skyrocket as a bunch of feckless single children have got no role models, no leadership. But if you look prior to that, the marriage rates are virtually identical to white people, and the crime rate is virtually identical too. Racism, ironically, was actually good for the black community in this regard. Now,
I think he might.
That is terribly badly phrased.
He might regret the phrasing of that one. So the argument is there, and absolutely the data supports it. But I wouldn't have put it that way.
I mean, it's almost like he's saying that the black people only prosper under apartheid, which is a very dangerous thing to start saying.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
I'll just have another quick. Oh, yeah. Wow.
I know that someone's going to be like, oh my god, he thinks racism is good for black people. That's
I think
not
it's
what
a
I'm
bit
saying.
of a leap of logic.
No, it's not. It's absolutely...
It's going to get misquoted, though.
Right? This is the problem. And now, I'm not saying, obviously, that's a good idea. But what I'm saying is there is a problem that hits at that point, and we can see on the graphs it changing. So we need to deal with that. But it's not the fact that it was racism, because racism had the opposite effect. Now, I'm not suggesting we go back to racism, but we need to actually be able to analyze these actual issues without crying structural racism, because procedurally there isn't anything wrong. Anyone who does, like, say, walk around with a gun and commits loads of crimes, they're going to jail. It's just disproportionately these people are coming out of black communities, and they're disproportionately coming out of these communities because of the family problems there.
Yeah, and if you want,
guys, this is like double dutch. There is
social justice perspective on
there is no good time to get in, and that's why I came out early, and my presence had zero effect, which is good.
Mine neither.
Well, you know,
Right, they're going to jump through some questions now, and some of them are good, some of them are and some of them don't really make sense. And I just need a second to shake off those scorching takes by Sargon. Boy, is he going to get misquoted for that, and if he doesn't, I'm going to be amazed.
But at the same time, he's used to it.
Yeah. Now, we have a bit about social justice, which is answered with regards by Richard about talking about providing sanitary towels. It's not exactly. I mean, it's just a bit. I don't know. But there's a nice question with regards social justice in South Africa at 1:30, which is worth skipping ahead to.
Let's check that one.
And then there's another couple of bits up there and a scorching take at 1:38. Well, it's not scorching, but it was quite amusing. So yeah, well, if we jump through to 1:30 and miss the social justice is handing out free sanitary towels, and yes, there shouldn't be VAT on sanitary towels. I totally agree. Sorry, ladies, but.
In all of our institutions, they hold institutional power. They are the ones crippling people and voices speaking out against them. And you are so naive. You're like, we can just make reason videos and they won't block us. Dude, you do not have a good grasp on what's actually going on.
The only way to change minds is to change minds.
Yes, except when someone is using institutional force against you. I mean, how do you think the Catholic Church dealt with the Cathars?
Yeah, no,
No, I'm asking you a question. Just answer it.
No, but I mean, you're talking about...
Just answer my question.
No, I
just
don't...
answer my question.
Okay.
How do you think
they're
they
heretics, so I'm assuming they killed them.
They crusaded against them, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
The Cathars were a sect of Christians that lived in France that called themselves the perfect Christians and were generally sort of sack-wearing hippies. And yeah, the Catholic Church wiped them out for being far too nice and Christian and Christ-like, and basically calling them out on their shit because the Catholics liked their gold. Anyway, side note.
Yeah, so no.
Because they couldn't persuade them. Because they have a view of the world that is instantly and it delegitimizes anything you say before you say it because you are a white male.
But that's not, for example, as atheists, for example, let's take atheism as a social justice identity. Like, we have discrimination against us in the U.S. in various ways.
I don't agree that atheism is a social justice identity.
Well, it's because you don't like the word. You call atheism? It is, atheists face discrimination for being atheists.
No, listen.
Guys, then let's wrap this in a bow in like 10 seconds.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You guys ready to move on?
Yeah, no, we can move on. We're getting into the weeds.
Hi there, my name is Adam. I have a question for Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin. So the debate that you're going on about right now is, for example, I see, how do you define social justice? For one group, for example, abortion is an issue of social justice and they want to promote abortions, but for Christian evangelicals, social justice means preventing abortions. So these issues come out into other places, like, for example, what's going on in South Africa with Julius Malema of the EFF party, Cyril Ramaphosa, and Jacob Zuma of the ANC party, who want to confiscate property based on a person's skin color. So how do they get to define, who gets to define the social justice and how this plays it here?
I can't hear him very well. Sorry, say that again, sorry.
Who gets to define social justice, for example, in situations like in South Africa with Julius Malema, Jacob Zuma, and Cyril Ramaphosa trying to confiscate property for people based on their skin color as a social justice issue?
They have broadly the same definition of social justice that the activists in our universities have. They have exactly the same kind of worldview, oppressor, oppressed. They are no different whatsoever. And that's why it's almost impossible to get our, not you, but our social justice activists to even talk about it. And even when they do, they'll sit there and make excuses. They don't, I mean, like, who was it? Oh God, what was the newspaper that cited Julius Malema as the counterpoint to Lauren Southern's video about what terrible things are happening? It's like, dude, he's the genocidal maniac. And they cited him.
And Sean King came out in favor on Twitter of the policy also. So it's a very...
So basically, I mean, obviously every movement defines its own terms. These are the terms they've defined, And I mean, I personally would let them have that word and then define a different term, just because again, you are insignificant in power compared to them. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say it to be mean. I am too.
Me
But
personally,
you
that's
and
true.
your movement, our movement is probably insignificant in comparison to theirs too. I mean, like they control so much.
But there's a lot of us all together.
Not really. Not compared to
this
them.
audience, your audience.
Yeah, but my audience aren't on your side.
Wait a minute.
Well, I mean, maybe, okay, no, that's not fair. Maybe there is a lot, but the thing is, like, you're just going to get blocked and deplatformed the second you do the things that start to actually challenge their hegemony.
Okay,
last comment?
I don't think that's the case. I think people are getting blocked for other things, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Can you hear me? So my question comes partly from Thomas Sowell. So
Could you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
my question partly comes from Thomas Sowell. So what does the phrase social justice mean in practice, and what does the justice part of it, like, make it social? Like, where's the social aspect of it go into justice?
Who's this to?
Mostly to Richard, but to both of you will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, justice means equity, so, and means that if there are inequities in society.
Wait, what?
Did he say justice means equity?
He did just say justice means equity.
Sargon space.
Yeah, I kind of completely feel that was my facial expression. What the fuck did you just say? Justice means equity.
Justice means equity, apparently.
I don't know how you define the equity. If someone works hard and does some good deals and this, that, and the other, and makes himself £1 million, and I happen to be the same age as him, do I get to bring about justice? Take off his shit or what? I don't know.
From its definition, justice is if you swimp and save by a big house, that the homeless guys or the guys living in like shacks down the road are allowed to have one of your bedrooms.
We'll get justice from you, yeah.
No, it's like justice means equity. No, it fucking doesn't. Justice is dealt on an individual basis. Like, that's why you have different sentencing for different people.
Yeah.
You have different, you have different types of sentences. You have different punishment, different type of punishment. There's it's not equitable. You can't.
It's literally the dichotomy between individualism and collectivism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm. Yes. Shall we carry on, because that's about to come up.
The justice part of it is trying to get rid of those inequities in some fashion. And the social means that it's inequity inherent in the social system. So it's a statement about social systems is what it is. That's where the term comes from, social justice.
Okay, so we touched on it a little bit, and I thought we would go a little bit more into it as far as the secular and atheist. I'm sorry. We talked about a little bit. You talked about the atheist community and the secular community.
Sounds like
and
he's
I thought
harassing
this
her,
could be a
to
little
be
bit more
honest.
about that. So just as a general question,
He's probably about to rape her.
do you or do you not
Probably
think
wouldn't
that
even.
as skeptic atheists that we should be involved in any sort of, to use his definition of social justice, that is backed by religious apologists, such as, gay marriage is now allowed. However, with abortion rights, there's a lot of religious push for why it is not pro-choice.
And this is to which one?
I don't understand the question, though.
It's, I guess, whoever
Wishy-washy
understands.
question?
I mean, look.
It
so
should be discussed on morals.
Collectivism for whatever it is
Religion
you want.
in the
Obviously.
subject.
The problem is the method by which you
But
go
the
about
religion
it.
has got
Now,
a right to
I'm
speak up
sure
on a
that's
moral
someone
basis.
from like what you would consider your community, right? And like the people who are concerned about social issues, but are not intersectional SJW, those people, right? Now, again, like I don't care how you go about any of these things. The problem is, like I said, not with you guys. You are actually the victims of the people that I'm opposing.
Sure.
And you've had to recuse them completely. You're not part of that. You don't support it. There is no point for us really to be on this stage and discuss this issue. So it doesn't matter how you go about it. That's just that's a conversation you need to have with your activists elsewhere.
I'm not sure that answered the question, but okay.
Yeah, that wasn't about atheism at all.
No, it was about social issues, how she can solve social issues. And again, it doesn't matter, as long as you're not hurting other people, as long as you're not being racist about it, as long as you're not being sexist about it. It doesn't matter, you know, go put up posters and say, do charity drives, whatever, you know. Don't sit there deplatforming people and hurting them, literally
It's okay
violating
to be
their
white.
rights. And I'm not saying you're in favour of that.
I'm okay with being white.
We're in agreement. We have the same enemy there.
So
I'm
this one
okay
is
with
for
being
Richard
British.
Carrier. So basically, when going over the idea of social justice, how would you demand to expound upon it when the very faculty that tries to administer it, say in Italy, in Hungary, get expelled for essentially what amounts to breaking the law because those that need equity, such as the refugees, are found to be breaking the law in tandem because they're encouraged by those who are trying to facilitate social justice, i.e. openness societies and refugee resettlers?
I can't answer that because I don't know any of the facts of that situation, so I can't evaluate it.
Well done, die for the foxhole for that one. I wouldn't want to touch that one with a barge pole either.
I'm Chris. My question is for Richard Carrier because he really wants to talk about abortion. So every pro-life person I've talked to, they're worried about the personhood of the developing human. If men could get pregnant, do you really think the pro-life people would be like, yeah, men can destroy the developing humans because they're men? If not, then why do you think it's a women's rights issue?
Wait, what was that last?
Yeah, I didn't get
I'm
that.
I'm sorry, I'm partially.
Could you just give us it simply and lean in as well? 'Cause
Yeah,
it is difficult to hear you.
And I'm partially deaf, so it's extra hard for me.
Just give it simply, please. Don't dress it up.
So every pro-life person I've talked to, they're worried about the personhood of the developing human. If men could get pregnant, do you think pro-life people would be okay with men having abortions? And if not, then why do you call it a women's rights issue?
Oh, I see. Well, in this hypothetical alien planet you're talking about, it wouldn't be. It's only a women's issue precisely because of the fact that the women are the only ones who can have this issue.
That seems rather transphobic.
Oh, good point. No, thank you. Yes, I should.
The look on his face.
You could see, I was thinking the same thing. You could see the look on his face like, oh, lovely.
And then after he says it, Richard's sitting there, you see the gears turning in his brain.
Damn.
That is brilliant.
This game is funny sometimes, but it's terrifying. Yeah, I thought we'd all like that one. I'll push on to individualism versus collectivism.
At least.
I should acknowledge
No, you
this.
shouldn't, because you're not an intersectional social justice.
No, but I believe in this particular aspect of
it's
social
nice
justice.
cherry-picking.
This is a social justice activism I believe in. He's right. I should mention that there are, of course, trans men who can get pregnant. And that does matter. There actually are issues related specifically to trans men in having access to pregnancy care and abortion care. And that's a real social justice issue, too.
Sargon, huge fan, wearing one of your shirts, actually, about communists.
Oh, yeah, let's get.
But my question's actually for Richard. Richard, do you see...
You got me excited now. Of course
Sargon, big fan. And anyway,
I want to know
you.
his position.
I know. It's just been frustrating because Richard won't address any of the things I want to talk about. And I don't blame you. You don't support them. But it's just been frustrating. I was hoping like a bunch of SJWs would come up and say, well, what about, you know...
Oh, yeah, there's none in line.
Sorry, yeah.
So, Richard...
I would... Actually, I'm kind of bummed that didn't happen.
Yeah, right. It would have been great.
Yeah.
For the problems you mention, aside from abortion, things like racial injustice, etc., do you see the solution being more of an individualistic approach, or do you see it being more group-based, like racially approached or sex approached, or whatever is the particular issue that you are trying to fight?
It'll vary, right? So it depends on what the problem is, and then we can try, there's a variety of different evidence-based solutions that you can attempt, and then of course you have ethical limitations on what you can do. It's too complicated. There's no general answer to that. But I've given several examples in this talk of like actual social justice activism, like the Happy Period Project, the Open Policing Project, and things like this, that are actually doing things. that matter, and that can change. And sometimes it might be legislation, and like in the case of abortion, sometimes it might be just awareness. So, for example, humans are subject to tons of cognitive biases, we know, and actually, like, we know that it's possible to be affected by racist and sexist biases that we're not aware of, but you can become more aware of them through education and exposure to the ideas. And there are tons of guys who've written about how they've changed their perspective and started changing their behavior in reaction to this, or white people too, about like thinking about how, oh, you know, I was thinking certain things and it wasn't really rational for me to think that, and so on. So they're just being made aware of the possibility, and then like being able to live the self-examined life, like Socrates says. So some of it is just education and people being made more aware, and so it could just be as simple as that. But there's a variety of different ways to solve these problems, and it depends on cases, basically.
Can I just... I don't know why you even have any truck with people who say that they're advocates of social justice, because that was a great answer. That was a genuinely great answer. And it's the sort of answer I would have ended up referencing myself, probably not as eloquently as that. I don't know why you have any truck with the people who are against you. Like, but you promoted these people, you helped them, and not necessarily. I mean, like wolves in sheep's clothing.
You know what? I've got that. That is exactly what I've got in my notes. At this point, Sargon starts sucking Carrier cock, and it is pretty much gay as shit.
You said you were going to defend social justice. That was the implication.
Yeah,
and so I'm thinking, Christ, I'm not even talking to the person I need to be talking to, and it's really frustrating. You know, and I'm sorry that I went hard.
He's good at the apologetics, is
why do you
Carrier,
deal with them?
and he's won the argument by not
I deal with them for the
engaging.
same reason I deal with Christian fundamentalists, right?
Oh, I like that. That's very good.
And really, like every single part of the answer would be the same for both groups.
It's very similar, isn't it?
Hey, Sargon, longtime fan. How do we
Nice shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you like aliens, huh? How do we inoculate normies from the like really heavy-duty moralism that SJWs kind of throw on them?
Sorry. Again,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
How do we inoculate normies against SJW like emotional guilt, like when they heap emotional guilt onto you? That's something I deal with in my practical life like quite a bit. And when do we get that turnaround where it's sort of the normies come in and embrace?
Honestly, that's a really good question, because most people are very sensitive to kind of social shaming, and it really, I mean, it takes a lot to push a person to the point where they say, I don't care what my peer group thinks. I mean, that is a hell of a thing to do.
Are we getting there?
Yes, I think so. I think we're definitely on our way. But I mean, like, you know, mockery is a great, you know, it's always the great leveler. For anyone who comes along and seeks to declare how you have to live your life, if you have the freedom to mock them and they're mockable, you should probably do it, because it's the easiest way to get around it.
I want to say on that,
Dr.
though,
Carrier, can you hear me?
Yes.
My question.
That it is potentially actually dangerous to go too far that way if no one cares what anyone thinks at all ever.
I don't totally agree with Sargon's answer there either. And how do you inoculate the normies from the dangers of social justice?
Is the question. He didn't really
Plaster it
answer.
on the mainstream media.
I know, he didn't really answer it. Short of going into the schools and handing out copies of On Liberty to every 16-year-old and making it enforced reading as part of their English, which would actually be quite good.
I don't think that would do it either, though. It has to be
I don't
part
know,
of the
but-
day-to-day grind.
Yeah, I know, but the simple fact is, people are told that hate speech isn't covered by free speech. You can't criticize certain people, certain groups, because it's racist, it's Islamophobic, it's homophobic, it's transphobic, etc., etc. It's a fucking phobia that no one, you know, never even existed. We've created more phobias in the last 20 years than ever existed in the sort of the dictionary before that. I know this because most of them are in Latin, for God's sakes. Actual phobias are quite well documented.
Meanwhile, we'll just brush under the rug the fact that, oh, you can't say mean things about this group, but that group's fair game.
Precisely, that's it. It's No. How do you inoculate people? You need to, whenever you see it, maybe mock it, but I would try and devastate it in argument as harshly as possible when you see it. Make people realise why that is wrong. And
But
that
do the normies
requires
want to sit down and watch the whole argument? Or will they just look at the yelling guy on the right and the calm guy on the left?
Well, yeah, you make a good point. As I said, Richard Carrier, to the average Joe, comes across as much more calm and collected and polite and nice and reasonable than the average angry fat guy on the other side who's pissed off about something.
Personally, I'll say what I said at the start of this, which is plaster it in the mainstream media. If people see in their day-to-day life every day something going in a certain way, certain bias, it's I think the term is NLP. Is that the right?
What, neuro-linguistic programming?
Yeah, but not in an extreme.
No, that wouldn't be NLP. That's a different thing, unless it's, but yeah, no, NLP is a whole other subset of things. That's
fair.
Basically hypnosis
But the
slash
point I'm trying
psychology.
to say is that if you look at the way things are right now, there's a strong push in what people the quote unquote normies ingest on a day-to-day basis. And speaking to co-workers, speaking to friends, I can hear what they're ingesting, and I can hear the regurgitation.
Yeah.
Without any thought behind it.
Yeah. Garbage in,
like,
garbage out. IBM
I had a
termed it very nicely.
today telling me that this woman in the Kavanaugh case, we should trust her because she's reputable. She's a credible source. I was like, why?
Why is
because
she
she has a good career. She wouldn't put it at risk. Which just amounts to wait. So you're saying someone who doesn't have a good career shouldn't be trusted?
So he's got a very good career too, and this would never have become an issue had he not been nominated for that position. If she's so credible, why has none of the witnesses that she cited corroborated her report? If she's so credible,
etc.
But they get told someone's credible.
Big papers are all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And no one's looking into it because no one has the time. Frankly, no one cares.
That's because innocent until proven guilty is being
eroded.
Eroded, yeah. And we, we're getting towards the end of the stream at this point, and we've basically got this subject and another. And then a final question for Sargon, which is quite cute. So I suggest we push through because we can ramble a bit afterwards, and then wrap up with a couple of other stories if you like, or well, see where it goes. But we've only got for about 5 minutes to go before the credits start rolling, so to speak. So let's push through to the end. Let's finish the game and all that.
For you specifically, I'm really glad you came out here and. I like the direction the conversation took at about the halfway mark, but before that, you were spending a lot of time saying no true social justice would ever put sugar on their porridge, and I know you wouldn't accept that from a Christian You're laughing, but you wouldn't accept that from a Christian fundamentalist, saying no true Christian fundamentalist would ever so-and-so.
No, I don't say that they, for some reason, can't call themselves social justice activists. It's a question of doing it well or doing it badly. Like I can do this.
You know the people he's talking about, right? You were distinguishing yourselves as yourself from the.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sometimes they're like real social justice activists.
Yeah, it was a no true Scotsman.
Yeah. No, I mean that was just a colloquialism to refer to.
Sorry, is there a question?
There is a.
No, I get it. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, there's a question in addition to that.
I think you know the people he's talking about. You call them the extremists. Can we just talk about the harm they cause to people, the suffering they cause to people, and without trying to deflect blame, just talk about that ideology and how bad it is?
So, in terms of practical persuasion, like what we know from the science of persuasion, if you only do that, what people are going to see is you attacking everything that they're doing rather than the specific thing, right? This is why it's so important that if you're going to criticize them, which you definitely should do, you should pair that immediately with a positive example of what you think the correct way to be handling the problem that they're solving is, right? So like you should have positive social justice activism model paired right next to the negative model so that it's very clear that you are not against the goals and that you aren't against solving these problems. You think the problems matter and you have solutions for them. What you're against is the way they're doing it. And so if you pair those two together in terms of persuasion, it's much more effective.
I think you come back to the problem of there are people who just directly oppose you. So I mean, it's again.
Well, that'll always happen.
Yeah, I know.
Again,
I know.
like just like Christian fundamentalists.
I know, but the problem then is what do the activists do when they fail? And unfortunately, we know that this group of particularly toxic people get vicious. You know, I mean, I'm not suggesting you're responsible for anything like that. But you know, these are the things that I think people are trying to address. Sorry.
Yes, I'm going to attempt to articulate these points I want to make in the direction that we're going in. Okay, you're talking about how a majority of these social justice warriors don't reflect your values, Richard, and that they don't reflect what you really think. The problem is this: democracy. Democracy of the majority dictates rule over the minority. And this is the issue you have to understand. It's very simple. I actually lived under a type of situation where these type of people controlled everything from free speech to the point where they wanted the power to be able to arrest you for basically disagreeing with you, and that happened to me. So, if you have no platform, no voice, no ability to defend yourself from accusations, and you are the minority, how are you supposed to defend yourself in social justice when a majority doesn't see it the way you do?
It's the same as any minority that's in that position. As
what are you going to do about it? What are the real solutions to fix the problem?
Whatever you can do in that situation. You may be disempowered in a lot of ways, but you got to do what you got to do, whatever you have.
You don't have a voice, you have no power.
Yeah, this
sure.
comes...
I mean, I don't understand what you're asking. Like,
okay, what he's saying is when he is under attack by institutionally backed forces, what can he do?
Social justice becomes the oppressor.
And this comes back to what I was saying.
This is what we've seen so often.
We're outnumbered. We're outgunned.
Well, if we work
We're
together,
outfinanced.
If we work together more,
okay, and I would love to do that. But I mean, now you have to persuade Chris Yelsey and Mike Romans and the rest of that little crew to do that.
A certain
They seem to be one of our primary opponents. How are we going to do that?
A certain
I'm not
George.
sure what you mean. I assumed you were posing them as the enemy in this scenario.
Well, I believe they view me as the enemy.
Right. No, we're talking about his specific situation that he was talking about, which I don't know the particulars of.
Sure.
But it's the same answer that you would give for anyone in that position from any other oppressive situation. Whether it's Christians, whether it's if you're an atheist in Iran, for example. Let's take an extreme example.
But we can
what
agree.
do you do?
We can agree that the extreme social justice types are oppressing people.
Drag your breathing into
Yes,
the mic.
I think that's if you want to use the oppression the way
I think that cruel and unjust treatment over a prolonged period of time is a fair definition.
Okay.
Maybe a few more?
One, two maximum.
Okay.
Understood.
Sorry, guys.
Good evening. This is to the panel as a general thing. I'm a little bit more pessimistic than you are, or Sargon, about how it's going to play out. Look,
I'm not very optimistic.
Okay, so
not optimistic at all.
The thing that I think that the conference has been dodging is, look, we know they're coming for us.
Yeah.
They 1984'd Alex Jones, and he had 10 times the subscribers of everybody here. So, look, Professor,
Wait, who? What was that last?
Alex Jones got deplatformed.
Oh,
and
I
he had
see.
millions
Gotcha.
of followers.
And I respect your work, Professor Carrier, but you yourself have admitted you're in the minority. You're not the man holding the gun. And they're probably going to come after you after they watch this as well. So my question is, from a political, realist perspective, when you're faced with, as you said, the Melian dialogue, what are we going to do?
Let's start working together to solve the problem. Just like every other problem you might face in that similar outnumbered situation.
Okay, but like, what do you think we should do?
No, support each other. You support each other online. You actually create a crowd effect. If more people stand up for each other in these situations, if more people speak out, if more people help financially if that's needed.
Okay, but
there's lots of things we can do.
Okay, but to do that, what you're going to have to do is put yourself in declared opposition to intersectionality.
You don't even have to frame it that way.
I think you do.
No, you don't have to.
I think you do.
All you have to do is criticize the actual behaviors that you are targeting.
Okay, but that is going
you don't need to talk about.
Even if you don't frame it that way, that's how they will frame you. I mean, that's exactly how they frame this alternative influence.
I'm not saying that this is going to persuade them. I'm saying that this can help people in these situations.
But what I'm saying is, we can now confirm that you are an opponent of intersectionality.
But see, that's the thing, is like you're using the word differently.
No, I'm using the word as they.
Intersectionality is just a description of a fact of social systems. It's not an ideology.
That's wrong. That's just wrong. Come on, Matt, that's wrong.
This question is for Sargon. First of all,
He's going to go to the
definitely
wall
express our
saying
gratitude for you flying across the Atlantic to express your thoughts and opinions and time with
Yeah,
us.
that's-
Very valuable.
It's no problem, I swear.
But a lot of us are wondering, what will be your first act as British Prime Minister?
Okay.
That's actually a good question. I'm curious.
Yeah. Okay, so just before I get into that,
Yeah.
there's zero possibility of me becoming the Prime Minister.
Can I cringe any harder?
Me too.
His ego
You could run for president as an individual. I mean, it's.
I see what you're saying.
I can't actually do that. In my
Right.
country, it's local constituencies what you run for, and then the party that wins forms a majority and picks the Prime Minister from within the party. So I could never do that. There's no way UKIP are ever going to win a majority, or at least in the foreseeable future.
But you're saying there's a chance.
No, I am saying there is zero chance. But yeah, I mean, I would probably, Christ, I don't even know. What would I do?
Party, huge party.
I mean,
You should do a video on this.
I should.
I want to see this video.
I should.
Yeah.
No,
seriously, I
actually,
really
yeah,
do.
no, I'm actually
yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, you know, there's. I think probably the first thing I would do is implement some kind of. I mean, I would like. I don't even know if I want a written constitution because it's unfamiliar to the country I come from. But I would certainly have some kind of digital bill of rights to guarantee a minimum quality of a person's use and a minimum set of services that would have to be guaranteed. Because I mean, like for example, InfoWars got terminated from PayPal. What was it, yesterday or today? And it's like that is one of the most fundamental like linkages and like tendons of the internet. It's how you send money around the internet. And they've been deplatformed because of a far left ideology, frankly, and I think that's unacceptable. I think that's something that needs to be addressed.
Okay, I respect the man in the black, even though I said no more questions, but I see you have a lanyard, so you will get the first question when you come to the after party. I promise. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, huge applause, please.
Richard. Good job.
Man, we're even getting a standing ovation. This is beautiful. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, dare I say friends at this point. It's been a long, exhilarating day, and I would say an unbelievable success. And I assume from your applause that you had a good time. So.
They think it's all over. It is now.
Yep. Ooh, boy, spicy.
That was some.
Just get up and do an over-grandized bow there.
He looked like he was
No, he
about to.
T-posed.
He was stretching because he'd been sat in a chair
No,
for 2
no,
hours.
he was T-posing.
He was T-posing. He may
It
as
looked
well.
like
Have
He was trying to dominate his
He was
opponent.
about to wave on the crowd to applaud him or something.
You know, I would have. He may as well have just dabbed the end.
Fucking hell. Is this cool with the kids now? I don't know.
Please, no.
Dab.
Dab at the
You
lamp.
can tell what generation Trig comes from.
Yes.
Lamp.
Lamp.
I have to say I love the lamp thing. It's just.
What, the moth memes?
The moth memes and the lamp is just bonkers.
I don't mind it, but it's literally just everywhere. I go into my Facebook and my feed is more or less lamp-based memes, and I'm like, I'm sick of it. I can't cope.
You heard that, folks? He wants more lamp memes.
More lamp memes.
You couldn't be any further away from the truth if you tried.
Yeah. Off. So, so that was a
Yes.
thing. I personally think Sargon let Richard Carrier have that to some degree. because Richard Carrier managed to dodge out of the way of all of the issues and just go, no, that's not me, and just dilute the entire issue and wave it to one side, which was a little dishonest, in my opinion.
Perhaps. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge most of the people in the crowd would have caught that straight away and seen exactly what was going on.
I hope so. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because he was on first run through it. He was more convincing to me than he was second run through it. After I'd noticed what he was up to, and sort of pieced it together that he was. It wasn't that he was strawmanning Sargon. It was that he was letting Sargon build essentially a straw man onto the classic SJW, and step aside and then minimize it dramatically, as if that's not a problem, as if that giant you're talking about is nothing. It's it's a mere windmill. Hence my comment about tilting at windmills.
I think it was more a problem that Sargon didn't research his opponent.
To a degree, I think Sargon was expecting something else, and didn't get it.
He clearly said he came in just expecting a certain type of person, and was not prepared for what he did get.
I think that's fair. I think certainly. Certainly, it wasn't the debate Sargon was looking for. He came into that. It felt like some sort of, to describe it in fighting terms. Sargon was going in there like a giant angry sort of golem or something, raging at somebody that was far more quick and nimble, and was just able to duck out of the way of some slightly clumsy blows. And the nimble warrior eventually beats the giant golem by kindness, kind of cliche type of shit. But he really did. He won Sargon over by going, well, that's not really who I am, and I'm really an ally. But as Carpo mentioned, it did seem like a lot of apologetics and obscurantism to a large part as well. Building letting Sargon build the straw man and then minimize it, dilute it down and go, well, the whole population are actually social justice warriors, and this is just a mere handful of people on one crazy campus. It's nothing. And then later on going, oh yes, well, I accept that it's in all universities and politics and this, that, and the other, and then shortly after going, but it's just a mere handful of radical. There was dishonesty, perhaps is too harsh, but yeah, maybe it's not. I felt like he was minimizing and apologizing for something. So we'll see. But there have been one or two other things that I was wanting to talk about this evening, but this one's run on for a little bit longer. Do you wanna wrap it up at this point, or shall we crack on with some of the stuff that I've seen recently and gone, oh my god, that's a thing?
I reckon if we sallied on forth, we'd be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah. I don't want to be a downer, but we've been here for what?
3 hours.
Oh my god!
It's
been 3 hours. Okay, so shall we wrap it up there? It's been fun.
I think we should.
It's been fun.
Has been indeed. If we wrap up there, any other stuff we can cover on Thursdays, make sure to come to Thursday.
Yeah, Thursdays, weird ass debate day. Oh.
And if you enjoyed the show, of course, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button.
Honestly, fucking kill
favorite the video as well. Hit that notification bell.
Post it on your Facebook, guys. Come on.
Reblog it. Post it on MySpace.
Oh
god. Don't forget to ring the bell.
Donate to my Patreon.
I don't have a Patreon.
Donate to my bit shit.
I really should get that shit set up so we can earn them monies.
To be quite honest, you wouldn't be getting much.
Your stuff, set up a Patreon for Craig.
Like
you earn
literally,
$1, will you split the 25 cents?
Yeah, literally all the views we are getting is literally us just looking at the stream chat.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's about it.
With the occasional interloper. Starsy seems to have not liked that comment and scampered off.
Right. Anyway, we're